It is 7:08 p.m. The Board of Trustees of LaPorte Independent School District is now convened. I wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone present. Every student's success is our #1 priority. As the LaPorte ISD Board of Trustees, we're here to set goals, adopt policy, approve budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and communicate the district's vision and success to the community. It is not the role of the board to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operations of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. School board meetings are open to all who wish to attend and hear the matters discussed. Audience participation is limited to the patron presentation portion of the meeting. Board members may not respond to the public comment section. These proceedings may be recorded, and I respectfully ask that you please refrain from talking while others are speaking. Thank you for taking time this evening to join us and for your interest in LaPorte Independent School District. At this time, we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Will you join me in the pledge to the United States flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Color. Hope. Ready, take. Center, face. Order. Order. Art time. Arch. Up. Up. I. Up. 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 I. Or. March. Up. Up. I. Up.
That was Cadet Sergeant First Class Johnson, Cadet First Sergeant Romero, Cadet Private Rawls, and Cadet Captain Espedia. And now the invocation will be given by Dr. Walter Jackson, Superintendent of Schools.
Bow your heads with me, please. You're so inclined. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for this wonderful school district and these wonderful teachers and students and parents and stakeholders. Lord, we thank you for our Board of Trustees, and we thank you for our entire administration that work together to make this school district the best that it can be. Allow us to continue to serve so that we can allow these students to be all that they can be. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. Tonight we have a performance by College Park Elementary students. Adam?
Under the direction of Miss Rachel Sam.
Hello, good evening, everybody. We are College Park Elementary. These are a group of our third graders. And, okay, so row two, y'all go ahead and come. Row two. Row one, because I didn't get it. Row one, take a step forward. Good. Step two, move back down. So once a month, we focus on character traits. And for the month of September, the character trait trait was respect. And so we talked about how each one of us is very unique. We all are beautifully and wonderfully made, and our students all have wonderful things to share someday with the world. And so we want to value our students, we value each other, and everybody matters. And so we talked about that. We got to write a little bit. We have 4 of our students who are going to read what they wrote, and then we're going to sing our song, Unique. So first we have Navelli.
What makes me unique is my singing, because when I sing This Girl's on Fire or Unholy, my mom says your voice is so beautiful, keep it up. When I grow up, I want to be a good artist because I'm really good at art and I almost practice every day. Sometimes my pictures look real. That's why I want to become an artist. My favorite unique quality is singing when no one is listening, because one day I will sing in front of everyone at a concert.
Good job. Next we have Natalie.
The fact that I like sparkles makes me unique. Sparkles show my true personality. When I grow up, I want to be a vet because I want to take care of animals. My favorite unique quality about myself is my singing, because I have a good singing voice.
Next we have Victoria.
What makes me unique is that I'm really good at sports, especially basketball. When I grow up, I want to be a police officer. I think that they are cool. It's because I like helping people and keeping them safe. It's also because my dad is a police officer. My favorite unique quality is coloring. Well, I try to, but sometimes I get interrupted. When coloring, I try to keep my mind off of stuff like school and other things.
And next we have Chase.
I'm unique because I love focusing on one subject. If I do bad on it, I will not give up until I succeed. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher because my favorite teachers are Miss Salcedo and Miss Prickett. My favorite unique quality is I'm extremely hardworking, and that makes me super proud of who I am.
Waiting on your
Thank you, College Park Elementary. Let's give it up one more time for College Park singers. Awesome job. And parents, if you're here, and you're a College Park parent, and you were here to see your child perform, we have such a big crowd here tonight, we're actually exiting out this side. You certainly don't have to stay. You're free to go, and once you leave, we've got all these others coming in. So thank y'all so much.
No, they're going to do some graduation when they're going to call us. Mr. Holland?
Adam.
Come on up. Yeah, come on board. Come on. Come on.
Good evening, everyone. We have quite a few recognitions this evening, and we're actually going in the order of when these events happen. And first on the slate is our Rodeo Art Show honorees. And I know some of them could not be here tonight. We're still going to recognize everyone who has art on display at the Hayloft Gallery at NRG as we speak. 7 LaPorte ISD art students received honors for their 2023 Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo Art Show entries, which again are on display at the Hayloft Gallery at NRG throughout the rodeo. They are Brianna Limon, LaPorte High School Best of Show. Cash Lusk, Gold Medal, LaPorte High School. Dana Garcia, Gold Medal, LaPorte High School. John Stakes, Best of Show, Lomax Junior High School. Is John here? And John, you hang out here when you're done. Find my place here. Matthew Torres, Gold Medal, LaPorte Junior High School.
John, come back.
Come on back, guys.
Okay, moving on. Jacob Arnold, Best of Show, College Park Elementary School. And Madeline Martinez, Gold Medal, Heritage Elementary School. And we also want to recognize their art teachers. They are Christina Todaro, LaPorte High School, Marissa Medellin Ortiz, Lomax Junior High School, Amanda Maddox, LaPorte Junior High School, Zaibu Ali, College Park Elementary School, and Jamie Lupol, Heritage Elementary School. Congratulations. Congratulations. If you follow LaPorte ISD on Facebook, and I don't know why you wouldn't, we are at LPISD, you have seen lots of FFA projects on display lately. They have had some great success, and we want to honor them tonight. Several LaPorte FFA students had a very high showing recently at the San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo. Riley Elko secured auction spots, and that's a big deal when you secure an auction spot, for both her market lamb and her third place lightweight Simcoe steer. Kaylee Soto also secured an auction spot for her market lamb, and reserve champion Charolais, is that it? Charolais? I practiced steer. Congratulations. We have other honorees. Jake Heyman garnered reserve champion senior ORB heifer. And McKenna Rankin won champion intermediate showman in the Red Angus heifer division. Recognizing the FFA advisors who also put in a ton of hours, they are Carrie Hicks, Erica Espidia, and Deanna Morris. Congratulations. LaPorte High School this year had 2 musicians make the All-State Band. And here to make the presentation is our District Director of Fine and Performing Arts, Mr. Matthew Burke.
Thank you, Adam. The Texas Music Educator Association sponsors the Texas All-State Audition process to promote students' dedication to their musical knowledge and skill, and to encourage educators to support the students in this development. Beginning each fall, over 70,000 Texas high school students audition across the state in their respective TMEA regions. Individuals perform selected music for a panel of judges who rank each instrument and/or voice part. A select group of musicians advances to compete against musicians from other regions in their TMEA area. The highest ranking musicians judged at the TMEA area competitions qualified to perform in one of 18 Texas All-State ensembles sponsored by their band, orchestra, and vocal divisions. So of 70,000 students, 2 of our students from LaPorte High School qualified, which makes them in the top 2%. This is the first time since 2015 we've had anyone qualify for this ensemble and this honor, and it is truly an amazing honor. These individuals are Brandon Garza on bass clarinet and Tristan Chavez playing tuba. Their band directors are Mr. Michael Lehman and Mr. Mark Fennell.
Congratulations, y'all. We have some lady dogs in the house? Yes, sir. Woohoo! Did everybody make it in? Ladies and gentlemen, the 22-23 Lady Dogs basketball team won the by-district and area playoff rounds and advanced to the regional quarterfinals. Now, we're just going to call these names out. So come up as your name is called, and we'll keep this moving. More recently, 8 team members earned All-District honors, while 10 team members earned Academic All-District. All-District honorees are Addison Parker, who is also the 18-5A Most Valuable Player. Keely Cummings, first team. Chloe Paul, first team. Kira Arrington, first team. Michaela Bellick, second team. Kaylee Miracle, second team. Sophia Rodriguez, honorable mention. Angela Goins, honorable mention. The Academic All-District honorees are Kira Arrington, Michaela Bellick, Keely Cummings, Angelina Goins, Sarah Green, Bailey Jackson, Kaylee Miracle, Addison Parker, Chloe Paul, Esme Soto, and finally, Jakayla Glover, who was moved up. Now, Jakayla was moved up to varsity just in time for the playoffs. Okay, Lady Dogs head coach is, of course, Thompson. Assistant coaches are Connie Linday, Tanya Thomas, and Miranda Thornton. Team managers are Chloe Stone and Brianna Moore. Ayla Ruffin and Emerson Gomez are the team trainers. Congratulations to all of you. It's picture time. Coach. Congratulations, ladies. As the Lady Dogs are making their way out, the academic decathlon team is making its way in. Academic decathlon team's made its way into the room. Okay. Nine of our LaPorte High School academic decathlon team members competed at the state academic decathlon meet recently and brought home several honors. Amy Dew is the 2023 Texas runner-up and was awarded a $1,500 scholarship. Kennedy Marks and Becca Gilmore also, lots of clanging over there. Kennedy Marks and Becca Gilmore also earned state runner-up spots in their individual events. You have to never go through an airport metal detector. Other team members are Jacob Joji, Carol De La Rosa, Keenan Urban, Lauren Wynn, Daniel Ortiz, and Michelle Springer. And this success would not be possible without academic decathlon coaches Tommy Lacombe and assistant coach Michael Carr. All right, y'all, picture time. Y'all come on back up. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, we're now going to recognize our 2023 LaPorte High School valedictorian and salutatorian. And with that, I will hand the microphone over to LaPorte High School Principal Carlin Grammer.
So it is always a great honor to recognize our top 2 performing students over 4 years. They've had lots of hard work, lots of long nights studying, and really put in the effort to achieve this accomplishment. It's truly a great accomplishment, and we're very proud of them. And so we certainly want the board to know about them and make sure that we recognize them here. So first I'm going to start with this year's salutatorian, Jorge Venegas. Got a little short bio I want to read. He was born in Barranquilla, is that right? Yes. Barranquilla, Colombia. I'm proud I got that out. Before coming to LaPorte for kindergarten. His parents are Jorge Venegas and Liliana Mendeville. Jorge told me that they have been supporting him through every step of his life. He also informed me that he is honored to be LaPorte High School salutatorian for the class of 2023. Jorge was recently recognized as an AP Scholar and is a member of the award-winning LaPorte High School Orchestra. After graduation, he plans on attending UT Austin, where he will major in chemical engineering. His desire is to build a career in researching renewable energy technology as a chemical engineer. Congratulations, Jorge. And this year's valedictorian is Isabella Grace Balboa. She is the daughter of Christopher and Sonia Balboa. Isabella wanted to express her thanks to her parents for their constant love and support throughout her high school journey. She truly could not have accomplished this without the encouragement of her parents. She wants to thank you both for your teaching her an outstanding work ethic and wanted to let you know that she loves you to the moon and back. Isabella is currently in the Chatos Drill Team. I'm sorry, I paused there a little bit. Chatos Drill Team National Honor Society, Senior Council, LaPorte High School Musical, National Society of High School Scholars, Phi Theta Kappa, and the ACE program. She has been recognized as an AP Scholar with Honors, an AP Scholar with Distinction. She will be receiving the AP Capstone Diploma and the National Hispanic Recognition Scholar. She plans on attending Baylor University, Dr. Jackson, after graduation and majoring in biology on the pre-med track. Congratulations to Isabella. Congratulations.
Next is a first for us. It's called the Alumni Spotlight. And our first Alumni Spotlight honoree is none other than Ryan Shopping. In running a 3:52.84 mile split, that's like 8 seconds below 4 minutes. I mean, channeling Roger Bannister, anybody? It's blistering fast, as Oklahoma State said in its press release. He was the anchor of the distance medley relay. Ryan helped the Oklahoma State Cowboys set an unofficial indoor world record at the Arkansas qualifier on February 17th. Shopping also broke the program record by nearly 2 seconds in the mile. For their effort, the squad was named the National Athlete of the Week by the U.S. Track and Field Cross Country Coaches Association. Shopping's achievements, in the classroom and on the track continue to serve as models to inspire and challenge today's students. And we are honored to recognize Ryan Shopping, LaPorte High School class of 2020, as our first Alumni Spotlight.
You know Ryan would love to give a speech up here. Being his daddy, I'll go ahead and give this speech. He and his mother talked about that we bring the right kid home from the hospital. I started looking at it with her brains and my good looks. I said, I think we got the right kid.
When did you get the help?
Well, I don't know. It had to be me. I do plan on letting him know about this, depending on how many questions Trustee Martin asked tonight. Anyway, other than that, thank you. Come on back to the
Adelina, there you are. I now have the privilege, Ms. Cook is not here this evening. I believe she's in Hawaii. So I said, sure, I'll take over recognizing our business partners of the month. And first up is Beacon Federal Credit Union. Beacon Federal Credit Union has been a huge supporter of LaPorte ISD and its campuses for many years. Each fall, Beacon serves as a sponsor of the new teacher luncheon hosted by the LaPorte Bayshore Chamber of Commerce. In addition, Beacon Federal Credit Union regularly sponsors events of the LaPorte Education Foundation and demonstrates its support through advertising in LaPorte ISD's Insider magazine and sponsorship of activities such as the LaPorte FFA and the track team. In addition, employees at the credit union sponsor families at several LaPorte ISD schools each year through the Christmas Angel program, and Beacon serves as a partner in education with LaPorte ISD Academy of Viola DeWalt High School. We appreciate Beacon Federal Credit Union for making a difference in our community. We'll do both. Thank you, Adelina. Next, the LaPorte Bayshore Chamber of Commerce. The LaPorte Bayshore Chamber of Commerce continually puts education at the forefront of its activities and provides support for many different LaPorte ISD endeavors. Each year, the Chamber awards thousands of dollars in scholarships to the top contestants in the Miss Sylvan Beach Scholarship Pageant, as well as outstanding boys and girls from LaPorte High School. The Chamber also sponsors the new teacher luncheon each year. Last year, the Chamber initiated Lemonade Day in LaPorte ISD, led by Chamber volunteers to encourage entrepreneurship and teach students how to start, own, and operate their own businesses. This year, the Chamber and LaPorte ISD have worked together to bring back the Partners in Education program, which connects businesses, industries, community organizations, and volunteers with LaPorte ISD schools. In addition, the Chamber worked with the district to establish the HELPS mentoring program, through which 47 local volunteers are mentoring students weekly in all 7 LaPorte ISD elementary schools. We appreciate the LaPorte Bayshore Chamber of Commerce for recognizing the importance of education to the success of our community and for supporting our efforts to provide LaPorte ISD students with the best education possible. Thank you.
Adelina's our chairwoman. Melissa's a past chairwoman, Dr. Jackson's the board member. Sorry, Maggie.
Thanks to both of you for all that you do for our district. We have a special presentation by Troop 13403.
All right, my name is Cynthia Brown. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, Cynthia Brown, and I am from Girl Scouts, the Central Center Council. And we have Troop 13400, 033. This is a Brownie troop here in LaPorte. So they are coming and thanking you all for all the support that you have given them, given Girl Scouts, during all of the school year and stuff. So we are very appreciative and thank you for your partnership with Girl Scouts and Central Center Council and supporting the girls as well. So, in lieu of that, we want to present a thank you gift bag for what you all have done. And so girls, go ahead and give them a gift bag.
You guys are welcome every month, understand?
Yes. All right. Thank you, thank you.
And thank you for reaching out.
Thank you. And then there's nobody here. here, Jeff.
Sit up here, snack on some cookies.
Okay, we'll go to item 6, public comments. The board will now hear those who wish to make comments and who have completed and returned the public comment participation request. This section will be conducted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act and board policy. Complaints and concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. Mr. Shoppy.
Yes, we have one.
Okay.
Mr. Philip Hook from Seabreeze, he wants to talk about ownership of what you say and what you do.
I guess it's this one.
Yes.
Philip Hook, hey, first of all, I want to thank y'all, the board, and the superintendent for making the corrections to the minutes of the last meeting I spoke at. I know it's not always hard to make corrections to things you do as a government agency, so I want to thank you for that. I think it's very important that what you say is accurately represented, because it allows you to discuss what you said to see if it's right or wrong. And I think as a person, the only way you grow and get better is actually, even if you, I tell my kids all the time, I don't make mistakes, I create learning opportunities. I create a lot of learning opportunities. I think the difference between a mistake and a learning opportunity is when you make an error in judgment, you recognize it, and you learn from it. That's a learning opportunity. A mistake occurs when you make an error in judgment and you deny it, you lie about it, you blame somebody else, or you hide it. When you do those, you make a mistake. And when you make mistakes, I feel like it kind of destroys your character. I think it kind of makes it where you can't be trusted anymore, whether you're a person or an organization or anything like that. So I think it's real important that things are actively represented so you can discuss it. And what I presented to y'all the other night was absolutely wrong. You do have to use HCAD. The state legislature, by y'all doing that, it forced me to investigate what I did. And I don't know why the city of LaPorte cannot use HCAD and y'all have to. I mean, shouldn't there be, don't y'all have to have an interlocal agreement or something? I mean, why does the HCAD is not a function of Harris County. HCAD is a political subdivision of the state. In other words, they're the same thing you are. They're government, just like y'all are a government. And why you have to be dictated to use another government, I don't know. I mean, isn't that taxation without representation or something? Can't you go overturn it on that degree? If you want recapture, maybe we could destroy the whole system and say HCAD's not a valid organization. Those are just thoughts. I still got to do more research on that. I mean, y'all got more money and sense. Maybe y'all do a little research on it. I don't know. Like I said, the other thing is I went to the meeting y'all had the other day, and the most exciting part of that meeting, I'll guarantee you on the bond, the most exciting part of that meeting was to find out y'all had 200 more students this year than last year. I mean, that's $2 million a year into this district. $2 million a year. And the best part of that is, you didn't have to raise my taxes. That's $60 million over 30 years. That's 25% of the bond. And you didn't have to raise my taxes. I mean, think about that. I just wish y'all spent 14 months to figure out how you can get more students in here instead of 14 months on figuring out how you can't lower my tax. That's the only thing I regret on that. But again, I just came here today to thank y'all. Y'all haven't done it yet. Y'all have to do it on the consent agenda, and unless y'all pull it out and say, hey, we don't like Mr. Hoop, we're going to put it like it was. I anticipate y'all doing that, and I really appreciate y'all doing that for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoop. We'll go to item 7, administrative reports. Superintendent's report, Dr. Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, board members. It's hard to believe that we're about to reach the halfway point of spring semester. In fact, when the final bell rings this coming Friday, we will be looking ahead to the second 9-week grading period, which begins when we return from spring break on March 20th. The Porte ISD students and staff have continued to work diligently towards student success on the upcoming STAR and end of course exams, which begin in early April, but they have also made the time and effort to succeed in other areas, as you have been able to witness tonight by all of the accolades that and recognitions we've had. First, I had the pleasure of meeting with the 2023 LaPorte High School valedictorian and salutatorian just moments after they received the news of their high academic honors. Our academic decathlon team performed exceptionally well against their brightest counterparts from across Texas at the state academic decathlon meeting in February, including an overall state runner-up, and you did get to hear and get to meet some of those folks tonight. Every campus was well represented at this year's district spelling bee. In fact, the spellers were so prepared, it took 14 rounds to crown a winner, who will compete now at the regional spelling bee on March 25th. Several of our committed FFA members have had a remarkably high showing recently at the San Antonio Livestock Show and Rodeo, which you had an opportunity to see tonight, including some students whose projects qualified for auction. Meanwhile, our Lady Dogs, who you also had an opportunity to meet tonight, team completed another historical year as by-district and area champions at the regional quarterfinalists. 8 players capped the season with all-district honors, and 10 Lady Dogs had academic all-district team. This past weekend, our Chatos dance team won numerous team and individual awards and was named grand champion at its final competition of the season. We'll get an opportunity to have them here at some point as well. Also this past weekend, the LaPorte Indoor Drumline competed for a 3rd place finish at the Winter Guard Indoor Drumline Competition in Katy. The competition included schools from Greater Austin, College Station, Laredo, Dallas, to name a few. These are just some examples of how LaPorte students are extraordinarily successful, both academically and in extracurricular activities. In academics, our priority is to support student learning and differentiate based on student needs for all students to meet and exceed expectations in all areas. At our high school, we are offering SAT preparation sessions in partnership with the On to College. That began this past Saturday with over 50 students in attendance. These SAT prep sessions will continue through spring break as students prepare to take the SAT in April. Also, we are offering AP Government, Economics, Psychology, and World History exam prep sessions. Students will also have an opportunity to complete mock exams as well as complete teacher-led activities. To raise awareness and grow the Maritime Dual Credit Program, high school students attended a sneak peek event at the San Jacinto College Maritime and Technology Center. Students learned about the Maritime Associate Degree Program and participated in various engaging hands-on activities. This coming Friday, 391 6th grade students at Baker will be attending the Mind Trekkers STEM event at San Jacinto College Central Campus. The purpose of the event is to build excitement in STEM for all students, In addition, our students have read 655,099 minutes for the Bean Stack Reading Initiative, which is about 66% of our district reading goal of 1 million minutes. We are continuing to highlight our monthly character traits. I believe you heard from our music teacher tonight about that. Emphasizing guidance lessons to initially teach the traits and practice to our students across all grade levels. We have designed monthly training for our counselors to support our staff learning how to embed these skills in their daily routines. We also want to highlight that the HELPS mentoring program is being expanded to Baker next year. On February 16th, about 1,700 community members filled the Bulldog Center to see the LaPorte Hoop Dogs take on the world-famous Harlem Wizards. I'm still sore from that. This community event provided fun for all and raised over $31,000 for the LaPorte Education Foundation. I think that deserves a round of applause. This will in turn be funds back to our schools as teacher and classroom grants. We are grateful to the foundation and everyone who supported this annual event. I'd lastly like to offer a huge congratulations to everyone in our business office on receiving the esteemed Association of School Business Officials Certificate of Excellence for an unparalleled commitment to financial transparency and high-quality financial reporting. This award is an affirmation of LaPorte ISD's commitment to excellence and stewardship of taxpayer dollars. And congratulations to Dr. Cade Griffin and Ms. Linda Hyde, who were recently named our 22-23 LaPorte ISD Principals of the Year for secondary and elementary campuses, respectively. Let's give them a hand. Principals, we all benefit from your dedication. To all principals, we benefit from your dedication and commitment to student success. Finally, Deputy Superintendent Dr. Brownlee and I have been crisscrossing the district to inform everyone and answer questions about the 2023 bond proposal. Just yesterday, we presented to LaPorte's retired teachers educators, the DEIC, that's the District Educational Improvement Committee, and last night to the LaPorte High School Band Boosters. This afternoon, we also presented at Heritage Elementary School, and we have several more question and answer bond presentations in the weeks ahead. As you can see, there are many, many, many great things happening in LaPorte ISD, and that concludes my March report for the Board of Trustees.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We'll go to item 7B, the Holdsworth Center Collaborative on Leadership Pipeline.
Okay, so I'll call up Angie Viator and Julie Abram, and I'll just share with the board that for the last 15 or 16 months, we've been a part of a leadership collaborative in Austin, Texas, through the Holdsworth Center. And for those that may not know what the Holdsworth Center is, Charles Butts is the founder of the grocery store H-E-B. And his mother was a 40-year veteran classroom teacher, and her maiden name was Holdsworth. And in respect and honor to her and her memory of being an outstanding public school teacher, he decided to develop a 5-star, 6-star hotel conference center style resort on Lake Austin. And he's dedicated that to the growth and development of teachers, principals, assistant principals, and central administration. And so through this 15-month program, we were allowed to go there and learn with other outstanding school districts and outstanding superintendents. Even the superintendent of the year of the state of Texas was in this program. And so we are just delighted and we're humbled by the learning opportunity. We have learned so much about leadership development and growing our bench. You're going to hear some of that tonight, and just developing a pipeline. So as people retire and as people move around, we have others that we will have trained through this leadership development program and process to be able to grow our own and promote from within when we can. Okay, so without further ado, Julie Abram and Angie Viator.
Thank you, Dr. Jackson. So we just want to start with, as Dr. Jackson mentioned, when we started this journey, you know, we were at a point in this district where, as you recall, Dr. Jackson was new to the district in 2020 and inherited a new district and a pandemic, all in one fell swoop. Congratulations, Dr. Jackson, you win. We also talk a lot about how at the time Dr. Jackson was meeting his staff and meeting his team here in LaPorte ISD. Many of them introduced themselves and then promptly let them know that we were going to be retiring very soon. This was part of the longevity that we had in LaPorte ISD. We had a lot of district leaders, a lot of campus leaders who had been in these roles for a long time, and there was just a convergence of a storm, if you will. And so at that time, not only did we have a new superintendent and we had a pandemic, but we also knew, Dr. Jackson knew, that we were going to have openings and a need for us to really think about how do we develop future leaders, because we were going to need a whole bunch pretty soon. Okay, so we put this together also for DEIC, just to give people an understanding. This is just a benchmark since 2018-19. So prior to the pandemic, these are the things that have happened in the district. Positive things, because we've been able to promote people to new positions, and we've also been able, as people have retired. So looking at this, elementary APs promoted to principal since 2018-19 has been 6. Okay, that's great. And then the second part is secondary APs promoted to principal were 2. And then newly hired APs, whether they were from within the district or from outside the district, a total of 9. If you think about it, we have only 17 assistant principals in the entire district. So thinking about
hiring and replacing 9 due to promotions and due to retirements mostly. Looking at that, and some of this work we did for Holdsworth to really look at our leadership study, is to say total turnover, and sometimes we look at that and say, ooh, that's not a good word. However, most of these were promotions or retirements. 59% of our leadership turned over during this time, just since 1819, which is significant for LaPorte ISD. As Ms. Abram said, lots of people have been in roles for a long time, and you all are aware of that. And so this does, of course, occasion some challenges, but it also has opportunities for our district. And so what we talked about at Holdsworth, as many districts were seeing this same trend, is we cleared our bench. The ready bench that was coming in to do those things, we cleared it, and now we're prepared to be supporting new leaders.
So the Holdsworth partnership came at a perfect time. We were honored to be part of that initial cohort with Holdsworth Center to transform the way we do business with developing our leaders in LaPorte ISD. So for an 18-month partnership with Holdsworth, really looking at how do we build a strong bench, as Angie mentioned, to ensure that any future openings that we have 2 to every 1 opening on the ready to take over should need be. This just represents some of the folks that we were in collaboration with during our 18-month partnership at Holdsworth. You can see that this represents a wide cross-section of the kinds of districts in Texas. From Central Texas, everything from College Station, San Marcos Temple, Waco, South Texas, all the way down Mission, Los Fresnos, Corpus Christi, in the southeast area, Conroe, LaPorte, Pasadena, our neighbors, Tomball, and then North Texas, Irving, and Plano. So we really had a number of districts, strong districts, big districts, small districts, a variety of folks that we were able to learn and work with. Each of these districts brought a team of 3, superintendent and 2 of their executive leaders to do this work.
So when we look at our partnership with Holdsworth, there were several things that they wanted us to analyze and review as a part of just growth of leaders, and really thinking, and we want to say, and I believe we've shared this with you, when we say leaders, we don't just mean sitting leaders, principals, assistant principals, executive cabinet, where everyone in the district is a leader, including our students. Including our teachers and our community. So we want to think about, as we think about growing our community and growing our leaders, we want to consider how does this work for everyone. So what we did when we were asked to just talk about our complete leadership journey through Holdsworth is to just reimagine this leadership development, which we did with a leadership task force, and just these 5 steps. And we said, you know what, we want it to be a LP leads. And so those steps are to learn first and explore, to act, to dive into the work, and then finally to continue sustaining this work. So, step 1.
So step 1, we had to, before step 1, we really had to determine what was our target goal for this work. And we said, knowing that we have so many, such turnover or such new leadership at principal level, we wanted to target how are we developing our assistant principals or our aspiring principals to be ready to take on principal leadership roles as future openings might occur. So as part of that work, we brought it back to the district and we said, we need to really learn and study what do we mean by leadership, what do we mean by how we define leadership, and what does a leadership model, a leadership definition look like in practice in other organizations and industry. So we spent a lot of time studying what does HEB do to develop leaders? What does the YMCA do to develop leaders? What do the Spurs, what do they do to develop leaders? What does that look like? We spend a lot of time studying their definitions, their models, their plans, to really understand what could it look like here in LaPorte ISD. So we developed a task force, a cross-section of our district leaders to determine what could it look like in LaPorte ISD, and really spent time grappling with that idea.
The next step, too, as we continued learning and thinking about what does leadership look like, we wanted to explore. And as you can tell, these are some pictures of our task force, really diving into not only a leadership definition and those core values that we have, what does a leader look like, what does it sound like, but also a graphic to maybe represent this, because it's important for everybody to be able to visualize this. And when you think of leadership, to be able to see this in your mind. So what we started doing was crafting several things. One were the leadership categories. Those were the broad ideas. We had a whole bunch of stickies everywhere. There were stickies all over this. And as we started narrowing it down, we realized there were some core things that we all believed a leader should look like and what they should be doing. So those are our categories. There's also some competencies. So underneath every category, there are 3 competencies to say, diving deeper into that. The next thing, as I talked about, was the visual, and then finally, which we're still working through, are our look-fors. What does it actually look like and sound like when we're trying to work with people and developing those skills?
So then after we decided this was our working definition and these are working competencies, we began the act of really trying to define those look-fors. What does it look like? What does it sound like as a principal? So when we say innovation is a key pillar of being a leader in Porte ISD, what does that look like at the principal level? What does that look like at the assistant principal level? And we were really confident that this work was going to be quick. You know, we're smart people. This is going to go quickly, not a problem. And we quickly got into this and realized as we developed our look-fors and looked at our initial paths that perhaps we weren't, that we were overconfident in our task undertaking. We realized very quickly that we were, in a lot of ways, saying the same thing in a lot of different categories, and so we were forced then in this work to take a step back from some early drafts and really refine what we were doing and what we were saying, and really come to the table with, okay, when we say, you know, innovation is an important pillar, an important category, what does that really mean to us? And then how does that really look when we talk about principalship? So we really had to take a step back, and it forced us to redefine some of these things. It forced us to really reflect on our vision for leadership and really adjust those look-fors to be really clear. And we, in the process, created a new graphic. We updated that to reflect some of the new competencies. And just, you know how it is, when you get a fresh look at something, you decide maybe we want to make some adjustments. And so the current definition stands as such. Our main categories of leadership definition in Porte ISD are that we believe that leaders must be focused on relationships, which means that they serve, they influence, and they connect. We believe that leaders in LaPorte must be committed to growth, which means they cultivate, mentor, and challenge those they work with and serve. We believe that our leaders must pursue innovation, and that means they must have vision, they must demonstrate curiosity, and they must have courage. And then finally, our leaders must have a passion for results. They must be student-focused, they must be data-driven, and they must be strategic in their work.
And one of the things that, just so you know, what continued coming up in all of these is the value of making sure that we have clear communication and that we're communicating with all, and that everyone is communicating and feels comfortable communicating with leaders. So just know that it is embedded in all 4 of these categories that it is important to communicate when you're working to grow yourself and others, and also when you focus on relationships and so on. So that is a piece that we continue as a leadership task force to talk about, making sure that those are clearly stated in our look-fors.
So now that we have this definition, the whole point of this work is to be able to say, now that we understand fully what leadership looks like in LaPorte ISD, now we have a stick by which to measure our own performance. And so the next phase of this work is, now what do we do with this? When we say this is what innovation looks like, or we know that principals must demonstrate courage, what does that look like? Then it's about reflection, not only on principals and current position holders, but also on those seeking readiness for principalship, and how ready are you to take the reins, and if not, where are your areas of growth, and how do we measure that, and how do we help grow you? So this definition is going to serve as that hinge pin for us to do that work. So the next step was starting that development work. The first piece was just trying to gather an assessment of where is everybody feeling they are in relationship to this early definition work. So we extrapolated from all of these look-fors a series of essential standards, if you will. In other words, if these are all the look-fors at the principal level, these are the ones that we say, in order for us to hand you the keys to a building, you have to demonstrate currently in an assistant principal role or other leadership role that you have mastered these skills so that we can ensure that you're ready to take on the principalship. And so we took those essential standards and we created a survey. And we asked our assistant principals, we spent some time talking about and learning about what these essential standards were with assistant principals and principals, and we asked them to rate themselves, scale of 1 to 5, 5 being I master this every day, One being, I'm not really sure what that means, to see just kind of where they are with each of these essential standards. And we asked the principals to rate their assistant principals as well, so that we can kind of quantify where do we feel we are in terms of our definition, in our development, in our leadership definition. And the results were quite interesting. We felt like there wasn't a lot of diversity in our responses. We felt like folks rated themselves pretty high. In some ways, surprisingly high. And that caused us to kind of pause and say, you know what, we probably have some real work to do in just really understanding that we all believe this means what it means in the same way. So result number one is we've got some work to do in really just understanding what this definition means. And so our next steps are to develop those, you know, what does it look like? What does it sound like? If you were to demonstrate evidence of it, what would that be? And then how does that look in practice? But the other thing that we were able to grasp from the data is if you can see, each of the columns here represents one of the pillars of the definition. You know, we rated ourselves fairly high with relationships and how we grow others, and we feel very strongly that aligns with just how we are as leaders in general. But what we noticed is that innovation and results, passion for results, and how we are innovative were our two lowest scoring categories, and we felt that also aligned with some of the needs that we see just in general, the conversations that we have with leaders, and even in defining these categories to begin with. We struggled. We believe very strongly that innovation was something we all value and we needed to have in our leaders, but then what did that look like? We struggled to really understand that. So, go ahead. No, keep going. So what we said was, right now, what we're going to do is really focus on innovation and passion for results and developing our assistant principals against these two definition pieces as we further dive into deep learning and deep understanding across the district with this leadership definition as we move forward for future growth.
And when we went to Holdsworth and we shared, this was a time where we were talking about this piece and assessing and people either doing small groups of APs that they gave these assessments to because large districts such as Tomball or Conroe. And so we came together and we all sort of had this same realization is that the great thing is assistant principals really are getting great experiences, but this rating is everybody kind of had to take a step back and think, how can we clarify what we mean by these things? And so that was, we had a similar experience with some of the
It was validating to know that we were right in line with everyone else in terms of how this definition evolves and grows and everything. I think we covered that.
Perfect. Yeah. And finally, step 5 is to sustain, and this is such important work. 18 months at Holdsworth and learning from other districts, then learning from us, and so we know for a fact we're going to continue this work, grow from it, continue our leadership task force, continue the work with our principals, our executive cabinet, as well as our assistant principals, and then our instructional coaches and our departments. And so just as you can see, these are the things that what we plan to do, one of them with the leadership definition, two with the pillar project to continue growing our assistant principals, is to continue looking at those look-fors. And this is one of those things that Holdsworth said, you're going to keep refining. This is an ongoing process because you continue growing as an organization. The second thing is just to articulate those specific growth opportunities that are offered to all assistant principals as an example. So those areas that Julie talked about just a minute ago, pursuit of innovation and just passion for results. We know we want to develop some things to work with our assistant principals and our principals in those areas. The third one, which seems similar, but a flexing activity is really a stretch activity, and we talked about this a lot at Holdsworth. Something that it might be a little bit out of your comfort zone, but those are things that maybe are for our leaders that they've identified for themselves that they would like to grow in addition to what we are all working on. So we want to make sure we're continuing those and just providing them those opportunities to pursue that and maybe have a thought partner or someone to talk to about this. And then we would like to, this is a future goal, is really look at our TPES and some of our other evaluation tools and work some of these things, which are great, focusing on relationships and commitment to growth and so on, into just how it works with our evaluation system, just so we're all speaking the same language about leadership. We want to just continue leveraging this definition to just guide the selection of future leaders. So as we look at interview process, talking through who is going to be interviewed using this definition as a guide. Finally, we want to build a ready bench using all of this information. So Appreciate this time to be able to visit with you about the Holdsworth and our work with the leadership definition. We do have a quote from Stephanie Brown, who's the associate principal for Lomax Junior High. She was one of our task force members, and just this is what she says: building a leadership definition illustrates LaPorte's commitment to cohesive excellence. This work promotes a culture of continuous learning and improvement by articulating what it truly means to embody leadership, regardless of your current role. In addition, the collaborative process allowed us to learn from one another and develop new skills as leaders that will positively impact the greater LaPorte community. And it's such a great testament to how our leadership task force was, because as Julie said, it was a cross-section. There were people from different departments, different campuses, everywhere coming together to talk about what leadership is and just the future of LaPorte. So we appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you for your work, too.
That's a lot of work.
Thank you for your work and your commitment to
Yes,
this. Y'all did a
thank you for the
phenomenal job.
opportunity. We appreciate it.
Would you have any questions?
And I like the redesign of the logo.
I just have a comment. I had an opportunity to interview with them recently, and they were very impressed with LaPorte's involvement with the program, and so I thank every one of y'all and the participants.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
Okay, we'll go to item 7C, Intruder Detection Audit Report. Dr. Brown?
Good evening, Board President Yonda, Board of Trustees, Dr. Jackson. Tonight I'll be sharing findings on our recent intruder detection audit. June 1st, 2022, Governor Abbott coordinated with TEA and tasked the Texas School Safety Center to conduct in-person, unannounced, random intruder detection audits on school districts starting this school year. These audits are in 3 phases. The first phase is called the intruder detection audit component. And what that essentially is trying to gain access from the outside of the facility, gaining access to the inside. Part 2 of that is the exterior door audit. So once the auditor either makes access or does not and comes into the front and checks in, they walk throughout the building to check the exterior doors to make sure that they are functioning and that they're not propped open and so forth. Last part of that audit is the documentation of weekly exterior door sweeps. They asked campus administration to show proof that we're documenting those sweeps through compliance. LaPorte ISD had 3 intruder audits. The first one was December 13th, 2022. The second and third were both on January 13th, 2023. The state outlines that any findings require the district to initiate a district safety and security committee meeting to review the findings. Part 2, they require training of the staff at those specific campuses if there are findings. And lastly, that we have to come in front of the board in closed session and public hearing here to explain, report to explain the findings in the audit. So a brief overview of our audit findings as it pertains to phase 1, which is the outside gaining access inside. All 3 of the campuses had no findings. As far as part 2, the exterior door audit, so that's the auditor being inside the campus, checking all the exterior doors. 2 of the 3 campuses did have findings. And then as far as documentation of weekly exterior door sweeps, all 3 of the campuses had no findings. As far as action plan, the campuses with outlined findings have already held trainings for their staff on February 1st and February 7th. And we have also held our safety and security meeting outlining the action plan moving forward on how to obviously outline these audit components. Any questions pertaining to the audit findings?
Board, any questions? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Brown. We'll go item 8, receive 2021-2022 Texas Academic Performance Report.
Good evening, Board President Yonda, our members of the board, and Superintendent Jackson. I'm here tonight to present on the data on our 2021-22 district annual report. So in our district annual report, there are 7 sections. Section 1 is the Texas Academic Performance Report, which is normally called the TAPER. That is the district academic report for the entire district as well as campus reports. Section 2 is our PEEBS Financial Standard Report. That is, again, the district report and the campus report, and that was reported with Rhonda in September before she retired. Section 3 is our district accreditation status. Section 4 is our campus performance objectives. Section 5 is the report on violent or criminal incidents on our campus. Section 6 is our student performance in post-secondary institutions, which are students who attend college after high school. And Section 7 is our progress towards our HB3 goals. So in Section 1, our TAPER report, it is compiled by TA for every district and campus using 2 snapshot dates, which is our fall snapshot, which is the last day in October, as well as our summer submission. Our student assessment data, which is our STAR testing data, is all compiled into this report. Our 2021 paper is published as a PDF, and it includes a range of performance of students from grades 3 through EOC, and is disaggregated by student groups, including ethnicity and socioeconomic status. So it provides extensive information on our school and district staff programs and student demographics. And you received this, if you recall, in January, we delivered that to you with a binder of the full TAPER report by our district and our campuses. So for this past year, again, this reporting is for last year's data. Our accountability rating for this past year is a B, an 87, and our district education, special education determination status means we met our requirements. So students by ethnicity. For 21-22 school year, we have broken it down for you by ethnicity of our student enrollment across our district, and we compared it with the state. So you will see there our African American, our Hispanic, our white, our American Indian, our Asian, our Pacific Islander, and our 2 or more races. Student information by our SES, we have our ED students, which is our economically disadvantaged, at 52.7%. Our Section 504 students at 7.1%. Our emergent bilingual, which we're called the EL, is 11.4%. Students with dyslexia, identified with dyslexia, is 4.9%, and at-risk at 44%. Students by instructional programs. Our bilingual ESL program, we had 11.6 students participated in our bilingual program. Gifted and talented, 8.4%, and our special education, 12.9%. Teachers' years of experience here in LaPorte last year, beginning teachers, 3 to 5% of those students were beginners. Years 1 through 5, we had 27.3% of students, teachers. Years 6 through 10, we had about 20.2% of teachers. Years 11 through 20, about 30.3%. Years of 21 through 30, about 15.3%. And over 30 years, about 3.5% of teachers in our district. Attendance, chronic absenteeism, dropout, and graduation rates. Our attendance this past year was 92.4%. Our chronic absenteeism is 23.6%. Our annual dropout for grades 7 through 8 was 0. Our annual dropout for our 9 through 12 is 1. And our 4-year longitudinal graduation rate was 93.2%. Just to give you a quick idea of what chronic absenteeism and why it's higher than maybe the state is, they compare chronic absenteeism when the student enrolls is 10% of days that students miss. So, for example, if a student enrolls at LaPorte High School and he stays for 10 days and he misses 1 day, that counts as 10%. So the 10% is really a formula where in as many days that a student steps foot as an enrollee and as many days that they miss, they count that up with 10% of how many days they were not on the campus.
And it used to not be something that was counted at all.
Exactly. That is that in the past couple of years, yes, that has been added. The other thing I want to take your attention to is attendance. Our attendance was at 92.4%. Remember, our attendance is lagging data, and I want you to think back from when we had the pandemic. LaPorte was one of the first districts that had students return back in person. And so most schools across our area had students who were still learning virtually. So because of our students returning back in person, we saw a dip in in-person learning. But in addition to that, keep in mind with the COVID protocols, when students had COVID, they had to miss 10 days. So that will add to the attendance issues or the attendance percentage that we had from 2021 to 2021.
And I would think that would be probably indicative of most campuses.
Exactly. So I wanted to give you a quick synopsis of all of our data. Again, this is, if you look at this first slide, this is all grades, all subjects. That means we start testing STAR in grade 3 up to our EOC. So what you have here on these bar graphs is the state, the district, and our sub-pops with approaches, meets, and masters. When you look at the second slide, these are our ELA scores. Again, this is a culmination of grades 3 through our EOC, which is our English 1 and 2. This is the state, this is our district, and again, this is our sub-pop. When you look at math, same thing. We're looking at a comparison of all grades, grade 3 through our EOC, which is Algebra 1. This is the state, the district, and our sub-pops. And then we have all grades of science. You have the state, the district, and the sub-pops. And social studies. All grades, state, district, and sub-pops. So when we look at CCMR, that's normally called the College Career Military Ready Graduates, CCMR is 1 point that we need for every single senior who graduates at our campuses. So the CCMR indicators, if you look here, there are several ways that a student can receive his or her 1 point. It could be more than 1 point. A student could get 2 or 3 points, but the goal is for the CCMR accountability ratings, every senior has to receive 1 point in terms of college career military ready graduate. So if you look at this piece, we were at 67.3% in 2021. And again, this is lagging data. These are the different areas that our seniors or our high school students, and we do not wait till they are seniors. So as a student comes in as a 9th grader, some of these things, we get them prepared so that by the time they get to 12th grade, a lot of our students will get their point before we wait for them to graduate. So our TSIA readiness is a test that we administer to kids to get them to qualify for dual enrollment at San Jac. And so we had 46.3% of our students who met that criteria. Our AP results is 18.1. Keep in mind with AP results, students they score either 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. What they look at is 3 and up. So they have to get at least a 3 on their AP subject in order to get a credit. Most universities look at students with a 4 or higher. So a lot of universities do not even take an AP credit from a student if they do not score a 4 or higher. And Dr. Jackson has shared with you that we are preparing students with giving them mock exams and preparing them for those AP exams that are coming up this spring. Our associate degree students, that is also our ACE program, 8.9%. Our dual course credits in the subject is 25.9%, and our approved industry-based certification is 16.1%. We have Marissa Lopez, who's our coordinator of CTE. We are working on ensuring that our students have pathways aligned with industry-based certification so that they know where they're going after college and give them certification before they even reach college or a technical school. Whatever their plans are, we're here to provide it here at LaPorte.
Dr. Brown,
Yes, sir.
would that also involve our counselors too in making sure as far as the plan and what subjects are being taken to ensure?
Definitely, that is true. So another thing that we have realigned and ensure that it is being done with fidelity is we're starting with our middle school students. And Ms. Jance Alfaro, our coordinator of counseling and SEL, her work this year has been to work with counselors in order to have our 6th grade campuses and up start looking at career paths and what that looks like. But with that, ensuring that that continues so that when students get to 9th grade, they kind of already have an idea of what their pathway will be and where that certification will fall.
Okay, so what about the students who are on a path or get on their path and work their path and then decide to go into the military or their path changes? They're not, you know,
Good question.
they don't start out or whatever.
Good question. So the first question with military, for the past 2 or 3 years, the military piece was taken out of our CCMR in the state. They are actually bringing it back for next year. So military perfect is that they will be getting a point for military, and there's some requirements that our students will have to do in order to get the military piece. The other piece, if they change pathways, they will. We know our students, they will change, and so what we would want to ensure is a good transition, but having counselors involved in order to talk to parents and consult with parents in terms of what credits they need and what that pathway looks like. But definitely, we work and we know students are going to change their mind. And from 8th grade to 10th grade to 11th grade, they will change their mind. And so we want to ensure that it is clearly defined what those courses they will need in order to have that pathway by the time they graduate as a senior.
So for clarification, because this lags, the students who graduated last year and this year will not get the point for the military credit?
They will not, but remember, they could get a point for something else. So if it's not military, some of our students may be TSI testers. The other thing we have is AP, so there's other pieces of getting the point. So sometimes the kid could get 3 or 4 points, it depends. But you are correct, it could be. And hopefully that's not the case. But we try to ensure that every student is not just getting 1 point. So we're trying to ensure that every student gets every piece of what he or she needs.
Dr. Brown, it's kind of arbitrary, I know, but I'm kind of shocked at the industry-based certification for our area. I mean, to lag behind the state, I would have thought we would far be leading that category. Have we identified the root causes? I know Marissa's doing a great job, but have we figured out why we're so far behind?
We agree with you, and that's why the Superintendent Jackson this year created the coordinator of CTE, because we want to ensure with all the industries around us and all this tax-rich property we have, that we are ensuring that our students have the best access to all of these industries around us. And yes, so we're looking at the root cause, but really at some point what we've done is align all of our pathways to see what will be the industry-based certification, so that a student knows if you go into welding, this is what you will be taking and this would be what your certification will be. So we've taken each one of our options and putting in what that certification will be. What Marissa has done a great job at, our coordinator, is working closely with the high school CTE teachers. So she is there every day, daily. She's never in the office, and what she is doing is working with teachers, and we've got a spreadsheet of every
You've got to
student.
monitor that very closely.
Exactly.
In order for it to grow, we had to put somebody on it. Because I think a part of it, Dr. Brown, if I may say, is just the overwhelmingness of being a counselor and a teacher and all the CTE and trying to handle all of those pieces. So we may have to look at even bringing additional folks in at some point. Definitely. You know, to be able to support this stuff.
My opinion on it is that you guys went a step further in re-implementing our partners education. Terry, I mean, you have 42 plants just in LaPorte, and the majority of them want to have access to our kids and pour back into them. Right. So I think that will bear fruit. So I appreciate you guys doing that as well.
That's good news. And leading up to what Dr. Jackson's saying, with the state accountability and the changes that we're seeing, the CCMR piece is huge for our district and our high school. And so that piece is crucial in the work that we're doing with our high schools and the accountability that goes towards our district.
Dr. Brown, in a training that I attended on Saturday, learned some very alarming things that are going to be in the A through F refresh regarding CCMR. One of the biggest ones that in my memory is the change to the military readiness. No longer can we just say John Doe is going to the Navy. We have to upload their DD4 to a certain website. Now, if John Doe is not going to enlist, if he's going to take a few months off and is not going to enlist and report until 6 months later, guess who bears the responsibility of tracking down John Doe 6 months later and getting a copy of his DD4 and uploading it? That would be us, yes. So to Dr. Jackson's point, I think we may have to add a staff, especially, and to Jeff's point about industry certifications, they're going to make a lot of changes to HVAC, to auto mechanics, to, I can't even list all the things they were talking about. There were so many. I couldn't even write them down fast enough. That used to, you could take like part 1 and 2 and you could test and get that point. Now you're going to have to take part 1 through 4 to get that point. So I just want to make sure that someone is on top of this, because this is a huge change. They're also changing it in order to get an A, it's my understanding. I mean, we need to get some training on this, but it's my understanding that it's going from a 60% to an 88.
Yes.
We cannot, there's no way we can get an A until we get an 88 in CCMR.
You are correct. There's a lot of changes.
I feel like, as always, the TEA is just moving our goals. Every time we get close to anything, they just move the goal. And our commissioner loves data, and he looked at the data and saw a lot of tech,
Microsoft,
all those things. And so now those don't count anymore because people were successful at it, so we just remove it. Instead of saying, great job students, y'all are so smart, no, we just remove it.
That is true.
Anyway, I won't get into my fury about that, but I think it's obvious. But anyway, I just want to make sure that we are on top of that, because I don't want the success of the students to suffer. I'm not so worried. I mean, yes, I want our district to be an A, but that is not my end all to be all. I want the students to get what they need. And if we're going to talk about industry certification where they need 4 parts of classes instead of 2, I want us to be aware of that so that we're ready for the right thing and that we have the right teachers in place to teach 3 and 4, not just 1 and 2.
You are correct. All that you said is correct. We are moving to a new accountability change with CCMR. A lot of different changes, and yes, that is the reason we got Marissa Lopez, because we will be looking at advanced courses and how that adds with in terms of the alignment of getting the CCMR point for our students.
We had 326 certifications last year, students who got certifications last year. In how many different industries? Do we have a?
I'll get back with you and
okay. And then what our most popular industries are? I'd love to know that too, please. Thank you.
I will give you all that information. Good questions. So in section 2 this is our financial standards report, and all I want to share with you here, again, Rhonda shared this with you in September, is that LaPorte is rated A superior achievement for a district score of a 96 in our financial reporting.
Yes.
In section 3, this is our district accreditation status. So generally each year, TEA assigns 1 of 4 accreditation statuses to each district. It's either accredited worn, accredited probation, or not accredited revoked. So in assigning accreditation, TA considers your academic accountability rating, your financial accountability rating, your data integrity, and your program area deficiencies identified through, and it's called the RDA, which is our results-driven accountability piece. But due to COVID, and the unique challenges in the past couple of years, the commissioner had decided not to assign accreditation statuses for the 21-22 school year until this year. So for this report, we do not have accreditation status.
But no district does.
No district does, right. Section 4 is our campus performance objectives. This is, remember at the beginning of the year, the district improvement plan as well as the campus improvement plan. So this piece talks about the CIPs and how the performance objectives, how campuses as well as the district monitor how we do engage our improvements and our targeted objectives each semester or by beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year. Section 5 is a report on violent or criminal incidents. And this section requires each district to publish, as part of the annual report, a violent criminal incidents that occur each campus. Now, let me just clarify. This does not mean a simple fight. So there's a certain type of criteria that they fall under violent or criminal incidents. And in 21-22, LPISD reported 0 incidents. Section 6 is our student performance in post-secondary institutions. So this is interesting. This is what you're alluding to about our students and how do we measure or how do we track where they go after they graduate from high school. So in this section, what we're going to look at is students who graduated in 2019-2020. So what they will do is those students after they graduate in the spring, where do they go to college or what do they do after college? So you're looking at their fall 2020, spring 2021, and summer 2021. So if you look at this report, at LaPorte High School, we had a total of 424 students who were tracked in the graduates. What they did is there's 74 students who were 4-year public university students who attended the university, and then they look at their GPA. Then you had 135 students out of 424 who went to a 2-year public college. We had 8 students who went to independent college or university, which are private universities. We had 11 non-trackable. Those are graduates who did not have a standard ID number, so they did not match the Texas higher ed institutions. And then we had 196 that were not found. Those are students who had standard ID numbers, but they were not found in any Texas schools in terms of higher education institutions. And then for our Academy DeWalt, there was 103 graduates, and again, we had 19 students who were 2-year public colleges, 2 non-trackable, and then 82 not found. Section 7 is our progress of the district and campuses in meeting our adopted HB3 goals. Again, TA requires a district to have, as part of the annual report, the progress of how we're doing towards meeting our district goals. This is in early childhood literacy and math proficiency, as well as CCMR. So overall, in Board Goal Outcome 1, we're looking at 3rd graders. So 3rd grade students that score meets or above. So we're not looking at approaches. Will increase from 53% in 2019 to a long-term goal of 2025 of 65%. Within that time frame from 2019 to 2025, the district have created targeted goals per school year. So for the 2022 school year target, we were to meet 58%. And you can see by the bar graph, the district overall, out of our 7 elementary campuses, we met at 59%. And then you can see by the campuses where they fall. And again, this is 3rd grade reading. Our Board Goal Outcome 2 is our 3rd grade students that score or meets or above with STAR Math. And again, this is increasing from 50% in 2019 to 65% by June of 2025. Our district target goal for 2022 was 56%. The district was at 52%. And again, you can see by the campuses the breakdown of the STAR Math 3rd grade. Our Board Goal Outcome 3 is, this is the CCMR side, is the percent of graduates that meet the criteria for CCMR. We want that increase from 57%, which is in 2019, to 75% by August of 2025. The district targeted goal for 2022 was 63%, and you can see that we met to exceed that number. And again, we want that to be 100%. So we have put that out there to our high schools and our students, and our principal and Marissa's working on that to ensure that we get as high as possible in that percentage. So I wanted to share with you now a little bit about the changes that's coming to STAR redesign. So this is a quick overview. That's what's happening this year, and it's a very quick overview.
And let me say, Dr. Brown, even before you get started, board, we can have a conversation about it with the president and officers, or you can just kind of direct me if you'd like. But we can, in the future, have a board workshop where we can even go deeper, because there's going to be some significant changes, and Dr. Brown's going to go through some of that, but we do want you to be aware of what's coming down the pipe from the TEA.
So just to give you a quick history, every 5 years, and you all know, we went from task, so there's been many renditions of our state testing. And so every 5 years, the state looks and says, okay, well, we need to up the ante. And so this year, we have the STAR Redesign 2.0. And it is happening this year. So this spring, students are taking the STAR redesign 2.0. We have been preparing for this since last June. So we knew this was coming. We've had many meetings with Region 4 and TA to talk about changes. And again,
And with our staff.
and staff, as you all know, changes come intermittently. So we don't get it all at once. So we get one little piece and we get another piece, we get another piece, we get another piece. So hopefully what we get now is what we see will happen in terms of accountability for our district. So the STAR redesign, there are 3 new changes that are happening. The first one is transition to online assessments. That means 100% of every student from 3rd grade on will be taking the STAR online. No paper pencil. So no highlighters with a highlighter. Everything will be online. One of the reasons they did this is through Cambian. The test is going to be through Cambian. Is this platform is they want to provide a robust accommodations for students with specific learning needs. So with the Cambian platform, students are able to highlight through the computer, have oral language through the computer. That's all done in the computer. So obviously, one of the things that we're preparing for, we are a one-on-one district, but we are preparing for when every student is taking the STAR test in April, what that looks like, meaning 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade and on. Because every student needs their laptop, every student needs to be able to hear what if they have accommodations. So we have to prepare that now before the testing comes.
Okay, before you go further, are we really one-to-one?
We are one-to-one in our middle school, high school. In our elementary, we are one-to-one. Now, we don't have the kids taking home their laptops, but they have their cards. So every classroom has their cards, and they're using their cards in the classroom. So our students have been taking tests online using their computers. So this is not going to be new in April that they never take it. And we've actually given the interim test the past 2 months. So everything is being done online. So yes, they're used to it as much as they can, but we're working through what those needs are through the interim assessment.
And Mr. Hill could probably speak to this better, but being here now 2 years, Deanne, when elementary is taking tests, we found ways to get additional computers to those campuses so that they can have those, right? Because they're not normally, elementary and secondary are not usually testing at the same time. So we're doing a whole lot of sharing with some of that too.
Right.
So
Okay.
I kind of understand where you're going with that.
Yeah, I was like, hold
Yeah,
on.
we're not where we need to be on that,
Right.
but we're borrowing computers from other places and bringing them over so that our kids have what they need when they're testing, okay?
Did I hear you correctly? You said that when they do their benchmark testing, they're doing it online? Okay,
They're
so
doing their
doing
that.
CBS
Practicing that.
online. They're doing our interim. The interim
right?
assessment they have has been online.
I'm not the expert in this, but I've been led to believe that maybe part of the problem is on the testing is the preparation for the test, not having access to those computers for them to practice on enough in advance, right? So, and my question is on the bond, we go to that 1-to-1 ratio, is that something that they will be able to use those computers for the practicing? Because that's a bigger thing. Like my child, for example, is a 4th grader. I know we had that form the day of, but I mean, the practice would be instrumental in him having better scores.
With the bond and what we plan to do with the technology is to really have one accessible to every student, all right? And we don't have to go and figure out what campus can loan us from.
Yes.
You know, every campus will have an
So they'll have the software on those computers to run it. Okay, that to me is a game changer.
It'll happen daily.
Yes, definitely. So definitely, that is our goal. We do not want students to not be successful on the state testing because of technology issues. That's definitely not what we want to happen. The second piece of STAR redesign is adding new item types and capping the percentage of multiple choice questions. So they've also constructed 2 types, SCRs, which are short constructed responses, and also ECRs, which are extended constructed responses. So I want to give you some example of some new question types. There's one that's called text entry. So text entry will be happening with kids taking math 3 through high school, ELA, science, and what it is students respond by typing a brief string of text, such as numbers, word, or phrases on the laptop. So it's really not just picking A, B, C, or D. Okay, that's one type. Another type of new question types is called multi-part. What that means is students respond to a two-part question, part A and part B, and they are scored separately. So instead of missing it all, they can get part point for if they got A correct or they got B correct. And so students have to give evidence or they explain their thinking in part B or part A. And that will happen through high school in all subjects. Another type of question type is called hot text. And hot text is students will cite evidence by selecting highlighted text in sentences, paragraphs, or extended reading. And that's going to happen starting in third grade reading all the way up to our ELC.
And Dr. Brown, when we have our workshop, I want you to, we'll make sure we have computers here so we can simulate that for our board.
And
because it's going to be neat for you to see kind of what they're expecting young kids to have to do.
Yes.
Okay?
And our last 2 months ago, our superintendent principal meeting, that's what we did with our principals, is to show them the different types of questions and how it would look for a student taking the test. So with an SCR, short constructive responses, students give a brief explanation in their own words to demonstrate their understanding of the content. So for writing, students will demonstrate proficiency and skills by assessing and constructing a sentence. And they correct it by revising or editing it themselves. And that will happen from 3 up to ELC. And then we have extended constructive responses. Those are students writing in-depth response by explaining or analyzing or evaluating information provided in the reading selection. And this will happen in reading all the way up to ELC. And finally, the third piece of our STAR redesign is eliminating standalone writing assessments for grades 4 and 7, and they are incorporating more cross-curricular passages to assess reading language arts. Cross-curricular means science, social studies topics that students will be reading in the reading passages.
And there's going to be writing at every grade level.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Those are the SCRs and the ECRs. So that was just a brief synopsis. Again, like Dr. Jackson said, we will give you more information. I wanted to bring back to your attention, this was in September when I did the accountability presentation, the pillars of growth and success that we focus on for this year. Commitment to growth, passion for results, and focus on relationships. But the true piece is our motto. It's every student's success is our #1 priority. So that is our North Star. That is our compass of all the decisions that we make in our district and all the trainings that we do, is we want to ensure that every student's success is our #1 priority here in LaPorte. So I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that. I want to share with you the big piece is growth. Everything in terms of accountability is about growth, but it's growth of every single student, every 7,121 student in our district. We have to show growth. So we start with a little seedling and then a water. And so our commitment to growth is looking at delivering PLC implementation and focus on careful planning. This is ensuring that the work products of students are meaningful, analyzing, and what they would be looking at like in STAR and beyond. So it's not just STAR, but it's beyond. It's going to college. It's looking at seeing how you write a dissertation. So those things are important to what we are teaching our students. The other piece is the work of our ICs. We want to ensure our instructional coaches are deep in the work with our teachers. So they are there every day in our classrooms, working with teachers, working in schools to make sure that we are providing our teachers the support they need. Another big piece of our work is ensuring that we are laser focused with our data analysis. We have individual breakdowns of every school, of every student, and what we've done is we've created a spreadsheet of every student, their last year's scores, their math scores, and their interim scores, and we are comparing how they have done from last year to this year. And principals are taking that, meeting with teachers, meeting with their teams, and looking at students. Is this student showing growth, or is this student digressing? And obviously our principal data meetings, working and talking with our principal about their data with their CBAs. And finally, CCMR. Huge part of our accountability is our SAT preps that we are currently holding now, our implementation of Texas College Bridge curriculum with our college prep courses, aligning our curriculum with TSI standards for English 3 and 2, and then aligning our pathways for our IBC. Our passion for results, again, this is work that we do with Lead Forward. Lead Forward is huge in terms of giving us the latest and greatest in terms of accountability, and what we need to do. Our implementation of a TOT model, which is a trainer of trainers, so teacher of trainer, trainer of trainers. We train some folks, they go back to a campus and train their campus. We also implemented this year content grade level planning. So we wanted all third grade teachers at all seven campuses get together and plan together. So we have dedicated days this year for these teachers to come together and plan what is the next 9 weeks of instruction. We have specialized intentional intervention time. We've calibrated instructional walks. We're working on master scheduling now for next year. And then we're definitely working on professional development planning. What is our focus for next year? What are our targets and what we need to help our teachers in planning? And finally, our SEL piece. This is crucial to the work we do. So as you all have seen from today with all of our presenters and all of the accolades from our students, we believe in LaPorte that we are not just academically preparing a student. We have to prepare the whole child. That is the social, emotional, and physical piece. A student has to be social and emotionally ready to learn. A student has to be physically ready to learn. So what does that look like in LaPorte? So with that, we have worked with our coordinator, Jancy Alfaro. She is working diligently with our counselors, with our staff to ensure that our students are receiving wraparound services that will help them in our schools. So we've expanded this. What we've done is we have communities in schools, and they provide services in terms of what is their connection between the community to our students. Our community youth services, which is our CYS, they come to our campuses and work with our students one-on-one. We have our backpack buddies, that is providing our students with food that they take home for the weekend. We have T-Chat services. T-Chat is actually a service where it's provided to students and parents where they can get on a call with counseling with a person anytime, at any time of the day. And so that is referred to by a counselor. We also have Clear Hope Counseling. This is one-on-one, face-to-face counseling that we provide for our students at our campuses. And we have Bacoda. And Bacoda is providing the drug and alcohol awareness to our students as they need it, but also now, as you see, with the prevalence of what's happening in our schools and across, it's not just our schools. And coming soon, we are working on adult wellness support. What does that look like in our district, and how we can support our teachers and ensure that they are well and happy and ready to teach our students. So if you recall the slide of growth and you had the one seedling, the work that we are doing will eventually grow into a beautiful tree, and that's our students. That's ensuring that our students are able to spread their wings and be able to have choices in what they do once they graduate from LaPorte.
Any further questions for Dr. Brown?
Can I ask you, Dr. Brown, this is open up a can of worms, and I know tonight's report is on the analytics of the data sets of the results, right? But I guess my question is, in the near future, can we get a report on kind of the procedures that we have in place that we're working on to get to those results? I spent a lot of time thinking about, like, as an alumni of LaPorte, spent all my time here. I know that, we weren't just focused on tests. I know that's the world we live in now, and so we have to focus on that. But I know that as a person that has ADD, like, I have to have quiet in a very organized environment. And I know, unfortunately, that's not the world that we live in with our classrooms, right? Like, the laws have changed. I have kids in the district that have had to leave their classrooms for 30 minutes at a time because there's a disruptive student tearing the classroom apart, right? And so how can you learn, I guess is what I'm getting at, how can you be focused on the growth of all students if there's constant disruptions and things? I'm just curious to see, like, what are some things and protocols we have in place to safeguard against that, or what are we working towards with all those things that you guys have to do? I don't know how you do it. I don't know how the teachers do it. I don't know how kids can do it. We
can get you a presentation and some data on that, okay, and almost simulate it for you. I think between Dr. Brown and Billy Trader next month, Jeff, we'll get you something. I hear you, and I know what you're talking about. Clearly, no excuse, just a response. Clearly, and we know that there are some procedures and policies and federal legislation we've got to comply with. But we will take you through that process so that we can say, here's what happens when that happens, and here's how do we go back and rebuild that, okay? Because that happens often.
And I appreciate that.
It really does. It happens often.
It just seems like, again, I know everybody says it's all about every student's success, and I know that we believe that, but it seems like because of the federal mandates, we focus more on the minority, and we're kind of like, in my opinion, we're not serving the majority of these students to the utmost of the potential, I guess, because of what we have to do. And I don't know if there's loopholes or ways to get around some of that or adding more. I don't know what the answer is, but it just seems like, man, it would be hard to be a student today when with all the disruptions. I surely couldn't be a teacher with all the things that go on in the classroom on a daily basis.
We've got some folks that are researching and examining that and having daily conversations about that. So it won't take us long to be before you next month with a presentation to deal with that.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Brown.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to item 9, public hearing on 2021-2022 Texas Academic Performance Report. We will open up the public hearing at 9:05 p.m. Anybody that wishes to speak on the tape report, if you will come up and speak. Anybody? You sure? Okay. Well,
Just because I like to speak.
sure.
Well, one of the reasons I retired is back when I first started work as a general contractor, maybe 10 or 20% of my time was spent dealing with regulatory permits, inspections, that type of stuff. Towards my date of retirement, approximately 80% of my time was spent permitting, regulatory, dealing with regulatory things. So basically I retired because the regulator took all the fun out of it. They just sucked all the fun out of it. And kind of listening to Dr. Brown's report, that's kind of what I think is happening to education. They just sucked all the fun out of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoop. Anybody else would like to come and speak? Going once, going twice? Okay, we'll end the public hearing at 9:06 p.m. We'll go to item 10, consent agenda. A, determine and approve any consent agenda items. B, approve board meeting minutes. Number 1, regular board meeting minutes, February 7th, 2023. Number 2, amended regular board meeting minutes, December 13th, 2022. C, receive principal's report. 1, Early Childhood Center. 2, Bayshore Elementary. 3, College Park Elementary. 4, Heritage Elementary. 5, Jenny Reed Elementary. 6, LaPorte Elementary. 7, Leo A. Rizzuto Elementary. 8, Lomax Elementary. 9, James H. Baker 6th grade campus. 10, LaPorte Junior High. 11, Lomax Junior High. 12, LaPorte High School. 13, Bill DeWalt High School. D, receive financial reports for February 2023. I'd like that pulled, please. E, receive human resources report.
I'd like that pulled, please.
F, approve budget amendment.
I have a quick question, please pull that. Y'all started it.
G, approve change order for the purchase of mental health counseling services for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year.
Actually, I'm so sorry. I wrote the wrong one down. That's the one I wanted to pull. You can strike E.
Strike E.
I want to pull G.
Okay, strike E. And,
What are we doing?
striking out E, but take out, pulling out G.
Yes, sorry.
So you can go back over here.
Okay, let me, okay. H, approve purchases of E-rate data connections and E-rate wireless access points for fiscal year 2023-2024. I, adopt the resolution number 2023-04 to extend the current depository contract. J, adopt a resolution number 2023-05 appointing May 6, 2023 election officials. K, adopt a resolution number 2023-06 declaring each unopposed candidate elected to the office for which they filed and canceling the May 6, 2023 general trustee election. L, adopt the resolution number 2023-07 for schools and libraries universal services, E-rate for 2023-2024. M, ratify the renewal and purchase of property casualty and flood insurance.
That pulled, please.
Okay. And that's all. So, Mr. Shoppy, do you mind reading back the consent agenda, please?
Yes, sir. A, B 1 to 2, C 1 through 13, E, H, I, J, K, and L.
Okay, with that, seek a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Ms. Thompson, made a motion, seconded by Mr. Shoppy. Call for the vote. Okay, thank you. It is unanimous approval. We'll go to item D, receive financial reports for February 2023. I do have a question on page 2. Let me zoom in here. On the recapture costs, I know it's under year-to-date actual revenue estimate. When do we pay that?
We have not paid that yet. We pay it in June.
In June.
In the fiscal year.
Okay. I know it's getting late, and I'll try to be brief here, but I'm probably going to be on this soapbox until the state legislature changes this or I die, but knowing the Texas legislature, probably when I die. Looking at the general fund for for our school district and looking at recapture, looks like it's at 58.7 million, which is more than data processing that we have budgeted, more than the plant and maintenance, more than general administration, more than student transportation, more than health services, more than guidance and counseling, more than social work services, more than instructional and campus administration combined, more than staff development budgeted for staff development, more than instructional resources and media, and more than what we have budgeted for number 11, instruction, which to me that's the basic mission of our school district, which is educating students, and instructions at 46.6 million, and recapture is at $58.7 million, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is going to amount later if we find out that amount is even higher than that. That's about 42% of the total revenue coming in through the general fund that is going to recapture. And so that's all I want to say about that. Just make a comment on that. And that's all I have.
Aren't we pretty confident that it's going to go up about 1.2 million more?
Been told that.
Right now it's at 59.1.
59.1, so up another $400,000, almost $400,000. Okay. That's all I have. Board, any further questions on this item? Okay, if that, seek a motion.
Motion.
Mr. Hanks made a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Shoppy. Call for the vote. It is unanimous, thank you. We'll go to item F, approved budget amendment.
That was mine. I had to set a quick question on page 2, I believe, of the general fund. The very last line of that is a $165,000 increase in the insurance premium. I was just curious, I didn't see that on the top line, and I know later on in the consent agenda, the renewal rate is a $1.25 million increase. I didn't know what the 165 represented.
Because our renewal months are March through.
Speaking to Mike.
I'm sorry. Because our renewal started on March 6th, so March, April, May, and June is out of this fiscal year, and the remainder is out of the next fiscal year. And so what we had budgeted
for this fiscal year, we needed to increase it by $165,000.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Board, any further questions? Okay. Seek a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Shoppy made a motion.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hanks. Call for the vote. It is approved, unanimous. Thank you. We go to item G, approve change order for the purchase of mental health counseling services for the remainder of the 2022-2023 school year. Ms. Crutcher?
So I don't know who exactly is going to be able to answer this. We're going to do our best. Just a couple of things for clarification and just information purposes. So this is an additional $101,000 on top of 47. Is that, am I right? Did I read that correctly? Or is that the 47 and 54 is part of the 101?
I want to say it's an additional 101.
Okay.
And the reason being is because we had allotted a certain amount for, and this is our Clear Hope, that was part of the wraparound services, and Clear Hope is the one-on-one counseling that students are referred to from counselors to go. And so we saw a tremendous amount of referrals this year.
Yes.
And so we had to increase our amount of paying Clear Hope.
Okay, so just again, so people know what specifically, it's 2 crisis counselors. And are they on specific campuses or are they floating around the district?
No, actually Clear Hope, this is a service where they go to, not the
They go to the service, they go to the location.
Yes.
Okay.
They go
it's
to
not
the
them visiting.
location. So our crisis counselors, you're right, they work with us, but the pay that you see there is because when we send students to Clear Hope, they charge us.
Okay.
And so that charge was extra, meaning increase of referrals we saw this year, so we had to increase the amount.
And it's 2 crisis counselors we're down.
Yes.
And there is a shortage in counselors across the board, just like teachers.
That is true.
Okay. Yes, that's what I needed. Thank you.
Board, any further questions?
Do we have a percentage increase there? Thereabouts, I know we've got HIPAA regulations, all that stuff. Do we, I mean, there's obviously a benefit to them getting that counseling service and it's necessary. I think that we can all agree there, but do we have an idea of how many students we think we've referred there?
So we were highly surprised because what we budgeted for was, then we got the bill from
Right.
Clear Hope and we saw the increase. So I can get you the
Can we
percentage.
get the numbers for 'em?
Yes, I can get you the numbers because what happened is the counselors are referring and we just say yes. Because we know that the counselors know they're making the best decision for the child.
Yeah.
And so I can get you the numbers for the past
I'm
couple
not
of
second
years.
guessing at all.
Right.
What the kid needs, we need to do it. I'm just questioning, was it a rate increase or was it just,
No,
velocity?
it was an increased amount of students.
Okay,
being referred.
referrals, perfect, okay.
And with the T-Chat, that offsets some of that as well, correct?
Actually,
they're able to get some.
Right. But T-Chat is kind of virtual.
Okay.
And so the Clear Hope is in person, going and sitting with someone in person.
Sadly, that's just where we are with our issues now.
And some of this is coming from Title I and some from ESSER funds.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Just out of curiosity, could you enlighten us on what typically those 2 crisis counselors would cost us annually?
We have 2 crisis counselors that it's really a counseling salary.
Okay.
And so it's basically similar to what a counselor makes. Now, right now, we actually have a vacancy in 1. So we only have 1 crisis counselor right now, and she's housed at the high school. But we do have the CYS. So we have 2 CYS, the Community Youth Services. And then we also have the CIS, which is the Community in Schools. And we're hoping to expand the CIS for next year too to our campuses more. But right now, our CIS, we love the CIS because they are the ones that are counseling our students or in the schools with the students every day. And so we are looking more a partnership with CIS and adding more for next year with the CIS.
And the demand is higher because so many of the counselors that could be crisis counselors in our system are choosing to be private. In private practice
that is
now.
true.
And so that's what's creating a lot of the demand.
True.
Thank you.
Board, any further questions? Okay, seek a motion for item G.
So moved.
Ms. Crutch? Oh, okay. Okay.
We all want to do it.
Yeah, let's say, since you're Ms. Crutcher, and then,
Mr. Hanks.
yeah, Mr. Hanks, yes, second, Mr. Hanks. Call for the vote. And it's unanimous, thank you. Okay, we'll go to item M, ratify the renewal and purchase of property casualty and flood insurance. Ms. Thompson?
Yes, I want to know, what is our process in choosing who carries this insurance? And did we go out for bids? And if we did they come back with a price and then they just came back with, hey, now it's gonna be more? I mean, how did this happen?
I'll answer some of it, and then Stacy, you answer the rest, okay?
Okay.
2 years in, we've used the same company.
Okay.
All right, so we did not go out for bid this year, but that certainly is on the table for next year.
Okay.
We were originally given one quote, and it actually went down from the quote that we were originally given. Am I correct with that?
Right. We were originally told about a month ago that it was a much higher number than this.
Yes.
And so this was actually less than what we were told that the amount would be.
And for the record, I checked with superintendents in the area, clearly our neighbors and even a little further out, and our percent increase was similar and sometimes the exact same as folks even close to the bay as well as away from the bay. So it's property casualty that's just going up, and I think all of us are going through the same thing. So I looked at folks in this Bay Area, but I also looked at folks that were not in the Bay Area, and their property casualty insurance went up as well. Similarly, so it was not that big of a deal for us being on the Bay this particular time.
And is the justification just the fact of replacement costs going up so much that?
And just what's happened in the weather for the last 3 or 4 years with the catastrophic things that are going on, tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, you name it, fires.
I think if you ask any insurance agent out there right now, we're having, across the board, it's hard to get flood insurance and certain insurances in our area.
Right.
They're not offering a lot of different coverages over here.
Right.
Can I ask, so what is the protocol, just in a general sense, no matter what service, accounting, and whatever it may be, on going out for bids? And does that process change based upon a monetary amount?
Well, it's by need. So if we've been happy with the service but it is within every few years, we evaluate it and we determine, okay, even if it is, we're happy with the service, it's due diligence to go out to bid to say, okay, are we still getting the best service that we could get for this district?
Because there are some folks, and I don't know that you're going here, but we're having, we're discussing a major issue here.
Right.
But there are some companies that would love to write for this, but when we show you what we have, the average company can't write for it. They flat out refuse to write for it. But we're going to go out next year for it because we need to see if we're getting the ask.
And we have Jessica Hill from Lockton Insurance here if you have any.
I guess what I'm getting at, go ahead. Okay.
Well, I just kind of leading to, and I get, I'm not going to say that we're going to get a different result from this, but I would just think just like a homeowner that we shop around every year, regardless, just to see if we can.
Well, that may become a practice under my administration, but I can tell you, with this board and the former administration, it was not a practice.
Right.
So if it happens, it'll be because I started it. So I walked into a district where I found a very good company that was offering us what we felt like were good rates. And so I didn't feel like there was a need to do that until actually this year. So if that's something that we want to have a conversation about, I'm totally open to that, but it did not happen in this school district.
So what I'm getting at, I know that we have long valued relationships with a lot of different vendors, right? And I'm not minimizing that. I'm just saying, like, if anybody in a school or whatnot, if whatever service they're going to go, if it goes up 47% in 1 year, I would expect them to go out and get another bid. And you mentioned 2 years, but I know that we've been using Locked-In since before 2014, probably well before that. And they've done a great job. I'm not saying that, but again, just based on that increase alone and the fact that it represents almost $1.3 million increase when we have, everything's gone up across the board. And again, maybe they are the best and that's the most fair market value we can get. But to me, it seems we would expect our principals and each of their budgets they manage at their campuses to be more diligent with how they go about getting bids, right? And it just doesn't seem that we're doing the same thing on some of our services. That's all I'm getting at. And then maybe you got a bid from Lockton, but did we get a bid from any other companies? Or does Lockton, does Lockton, you guys bid it out to multiple vendors? Is that what maybe happens?
Yeah.
evening. My name's Jessica Hill. I'm a representative of Lockton Companies. Been an insurance, commercial insurance professional for 22 years now. I spent time on the brokerage and the underwriting side. To answer several of your questions and everything from this evening, this is something that is a macro effect. And it's affecting our clients on an individual basis. It's nothing that we could say that LaPorte did. In the review and looking through the marketing process and everything, you guys are excellent. You have excellent risk and exposures, and you're controlling your losses. You're doing everything that the insurance carriers have asked you to do as a good client and a good partner with those carriers. Where we are right now in the marketplace is simply we are at a place where the insurance companies are looking at market corrections. They're looking at inflation the same way that the grocery stores and everyone is looking at the cost of product, the cost to rebuild a building with your reported values. They're looking at all of these different things, and they're looking at how much is needed to fund the losses. The biggest thing right now that is driving this increase in premiums are the reinsurance companies, and that's the insurance companies for the insurance companies. The same way that your school district goes out and purchases insurance, they go out and purchase insurance for their assets as well. And when that cost goes up, those costs have gone up for the insurance companies in excess of 30% as well. You start to see it as a trickle-down effect. So even though you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing, we are having to navigate and deal with these increases across the board for all of our clients. You are not the only ones with this concern, and it's a grave concern to have because you start to talk about the affordability of your insurance programs, and you're supposed to question it. One of the things that I can say as your broker is that we go to dozens and dozens of markets. I believe more than 35 to 40 markets were approached on behalf of your school district to ensure that we had the most competitive premiums for you, along with those coverages to build that property program. We are at a point right now as well where capacity is limited. And when I say capacity, the number of carriers that are willing to give money to cover your assets is a limited. You're on the coast. I'm from Houston. I'm familiar with the area and everything like that. So it is something that we have interest from carriers. However, when we used to be able to get $25 million from a carrier, we can only get $5 million. And so it takes more carriers to get that insurance covered. So that's what this is what's happening right now. It's not that people don't want your business. It's just they're looking at it from a macro aspect. They're looking at cutting what their losses are. They're saying we still want to partner with you, but we just can't deploy the amount of assets that they used to. So that is what's driving the cost.
It makes sense. Do you see this as is this an intermittent issue? Is this something where we can foresee some relief in the future, or is this the trend going forward? I know you have a crystal ball, don't you?
Yeah, of course.
So.
Unfortunately, it's in my trunk of my car, and my husband cleaned it out. So what's going on in the marketplace where we foresee this going? 3 years ago, we said that this was an unprecedented time with the insurance industry and that there was market corrections. Last year we said, okay, we hope that this is going to get better. This year we're getting reports that this is the worst that it has ever been. And it has in the 22 years that we've come to have. You know, it's sad to come and talk to our clients about affordability and what we need to do to mitigate this cost. So what do we foresee in the future? It's kind of like home prices. I don't expect them to go back down where they used to be. What we can do moving forward is that we are able to protect your book by going out and continuing the market process, continuing to be active with you all to make sure that you're controlling your losses, and then to make sure that you are a desirable client to many carriers. So even though we did have these increases, as you could see, it started at an increase and then it came down to a decrease because we were able to leverage that with other markets and say, if you really want to be a part of this panel, then we need you to compete. So I expect for the trend to remain the same. Hopefully we'll have a good wind season, no hurricanes, but then you have these things called freezes now that we've never seen before. And so as we see that, it goes on and on. So as far as where I think it'll be, I think that we need to start to budget for where we are now with increases in mind, maybe not as great as what we see now, but I would be remiss to tell you that you'll get a decrease next year, and all of this will be corrected and gone.
Through my business, our insurance, if we do go out for bid, the people who go out to bid cannot bid the same carriers that y'all are bidding. Is that correct in this
That is
situation as well?
correct.
So they
in order
have to bid completely different carriers.
Exactly. So in order for this to have the best process for you all is to select one broker partner. You have to select one broker partner that you feel confident and you feel that they have the ability to move the marketplace and that they have their partners that they're willing to work for on your behalf. Then you grant that broker open access to the market so that we can do the most for you. I can't do anything for you with 10 markets. 3 brokers to get to 30 markets can't do anything with this 10 and that 10 and that 10. We use the marketplace to leverage. We use our partnerships all the way around, and so you're correct. The best way to get the most successful results is to choose one broker that you feel comfortable with that's capable.
How do you guys determine the values for renewal? I noticed they're the same for 2022, 23, and 23 and 24, like identical. How does that?
So someone with your school district filled out that statement of values, what we call as a statement of values, and you all look at that and determine that for us. And then that's what we go out to market with. Now, with your statement of values being static over the past few years, that was a red flag to carriers. Carriers are looking at that to say, well, possibly is this undervalued? An example of this is I've insured a building before, brand new. Well, it was brand new to us as a broker at that time. Our client said it was $8 million. 8 months later, it burned down. The replacement cost value to build that building was $15 million. It was reported in undervalued. This was about 10 years ago, so that was before we were having these conversations. So now when an insurance company automatically sees a static valuation, they become more concerned. They become a lot more conservative with the amount of capacity and assets they're willing to deploy on your behalf. So that is something that looking forward in the future, we're able to mitigate some of those costs. When we see that we need to increase some values, we do go back to the carriers and tell them, we'll give you the values if you give us some credit on rates. You know, so that does, because we're not going to say that you need to pay increased values and increased rates at the same time.
So the way I hear that is that potentially next year, that's a way to get this lowered down, or not have as substantial of increase.
Well, it's a factor that is taken into with it. Another reason that's also a good factor is we always want to create competition. It doesn't necessarily automatically go with a rate decrease, but it's getting more competition. You know, instead of a carrier saying, well, look, these values are static, it doesn't look like, you know, I'm going to have to underwrite to increase losses just in case. You know, when we ask an underwriter to assume, they don't assume the best on your behalf. You know, so we don't want them to make any assumptions or unknowns. So when we go out to market with that, it could generate additional capacity. That generates competition.
And just on your point, Jeff, that is in the plan this next year, and I already have a couple vendors lined up that we can review and see. So we are going to do a market study, and Dr. Bromley and I have already discussed that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
All right.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thank
no,
you.
you're fine. Thank you. Now, my mom was excited that I came. My mom's a retired educator. I told her I was coming to the school district, and she was very excited. So I sent her the link. So thank you all so much.
Thank
and I'll
you.
be here
Thank you.
afterwards if you have any individual questions.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. Thank you.
I did want to make one comment for the benefit of the board, since we're talking about insurance, is that the school finance system doesn't take into account in regards to Robin Hood recapture, whether or not we live on the Gulf Coast and have higher insurance than school district in Central Texas.
Beat that drum.
So anyway, that's another thing on the recapture with regards to insurance of what we're dealing with here in this
I
item.
got some email addresses you can send that concern to.
Need a motion?
So anyway, with that being said, any further questions or comments? If not, seek a motion. Mr. Sharpie, may I have a motion?
A second.
Seconded by Mr. Hanks. Call for the vote. Is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 11, and unless there's an objection from the board, I'd like to start off with item B instead of A. Any objection? No. Okay, go to item B, approve the authorization of the superintendent of schools to purchase and/or lease a tractor trailer for the fine arts department.
So, you know, we've had that conversation. Come on up, Dr. Bromley. We've had some conversations about this, and I just want to know what the board's pleasure is. A couple of months ago, we brought before you a box truck, and I still, hopefully we can have a conversation about that as well, Mr. President. But we want to know if that's the board's pleasure for us to do that at this time, or is that something that we want to at least have a plan for in the future, the near future moving forward? I just want to know what the board's pleasure is.
I think the consensus has been, and to my understanding, unless someone tells me something different, is that we really, there's been a need for the trailer, a long overdue need. We are one of the only districts that does not have it, and a lot of volunteers and our band students have just made amends to get their instruments and stuff, their show, to these various places. And we need to provide them the means of getting them their instruments and their show to the venues that they perform. And the trailer, I think, is a hands down. The only question I had was the tractor trailer, the tractor part of it. You know, are we talking about the a diesel engine cab pulling this thing? You know, and to me, I feel like that would be that's a different cost. And, you know, then the maintenance of the diesel and all of the insurance and the driver and all those things, instead of leasing out a per event to pull that trailer. If we buy the trailer and we have it on our person, we own that, is that more, judicious use of funds? I feel like that would be more, and that's my question.
I second that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's having the ability to look into all of that. There's gray area when you talk about leasing.
Right.
And then you have drivers from outside our agency as far as does insurance cover that? What does that look like? Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the research that still has to be done. We've had several meetings with different groups on people that are willing to possibly provide some services to us to do that. But what does that look like from legal on us having the ability to do it?
Mr. Burke, come up too, please.
Because I agree with Danny wholeheartedly. The need for the trailer. We've got a community partner that was represented tonight. Beacon Federal Credit Union said that they would pay for the wrapping of it, and that's a tremendous asset as well. I reached out to a gentleman that his company has for decades now pulled the trailer for Deer Park ISD, Pasadena ISD, and he has 3 other companies, 3 other districts that they represent. And so he just cautioned us against the procurement of our own tractor, mainly because of the DOT regulations and the cost associated. If you even use it just 10 or 15 times a year, his company, not that we have to use him, but they are available for us to negotiate or talk to him, but they charge $90 an hour. And so he said on a typical away football game, it's about 6 hours of service, and they provide the truck, the driver, the insurance, and it's $540 for that particular occurrence. So to me, that's a tremendous saving. He said he's got a new fleet this year. All of his vehicles cost over $200,000. And so he also mentioned that he was intimately involved in the procurement of the trailer for Deer Park ISD band, and it cost about approximately $140,000. So I know it's a lot of money. I'm all for the trailer. I'm not necessarily for the approval up to $400,000 because I don't think that we need a tractor.
No, we only put that there because we didn't know what it would necessarily be, and so we didn't want to have to come back and have another conversation about it.
Right.
But we know it wouldn't cost that.
And obviously, it would come back for approval, essentially, right?
So is this is just for us to get the information in terms of what that would cost, but can we take action on the trailer to at least get that going? Because I know we've kicked this can down the road a couple of times, and there needs to be a sense of urgency to get them that.
So if that's the board's pleasure, of course, but I've got a question about the company you just mentioned, Jeff.
Let me get this to you.
Does he have the type of personnel to where we're not on a Friday night trying to get somewhere?
That was my question. So I said with I guess the 5 district he's doing this currently for, he said he has the manpower to get it done. And so his family is active, that business here in LaPorte, and but But again, again, don't take anybody for the word. Go out and talk to your counterparts in Deer Park, Pasadena, and the other, your references, and check them to make sure they've been showing up on time, doing the job that they were contracted to do. I assume that to be the case, but just a little more diligence on our end, and I think we can get that handled.
And I understand the intention, what you're trying to do by looking at that. I'm not upset about that at all. I want us to think through that in terms of the capital expenditure that it would require to purchase that, to ensure that, and the DOT regulations and stuff like that. I think that's just a whole realm of cost that just hasn't been discussed or considered. I think that, the precedent was, hey, look, the priority was getting that trailer, and definitely need to get that going for sure, because it's long overdue.
Because the insurance costs are going to be.
Yeah, I will tell you from working in logistics, I'm not going to sing tonight, so y'all can rest easy. I'm just going to talk. From working in logistics for many years, the cost of the CDL and then all of the restrictions that come along with that, if we have a driver on our staff with that, they can only drive so many hours per day, and then they have to rest and etc. And that tractor has to be equipped with a digital log inside that keeps up with those things, okay? They cannot go past those hours. It will make them stop. So a trucking company will know all of those things, and they will schedule drivers appropriately because they're used to that kind of thing, where that might be, an anomaly for us because we're not used to that. We're used to our bus drivers with split shifts and etc. So maybe hiring out to a trucking company as far as the driver part of it might be the best way to go as far as our liability insurance wise and with the DOT regs. But y'all know I want the big truck. I'm not going to sing.
And obviously, I think the item allows us to do that. It was more about getting your thoughts on
We just
what
wanted to make sure
exactly,
we're all on the same page with that.
what area and, what direction you wanted us to go for.
So, go ahead, Dave.
I just saying, Dan, correct me, we've been mentioning this about 6 years ago, where I think it's time to get it done. That's all I gotta say.
Mr. Burke, I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, I was just saying, I know that one of the things, I know we're all trying to save money, and I think in one of the conversations we had with the Booster Club was that there was a parent that had a trucking company. And I appreciate that they would even offer the service and just kind of rate, but I think it's contracting it out would be, that's my opinion, if you want our opinion tonight, is the way to go. Somebody that's been doing it and we trust, and we can say, sign a contract with.
I don't think we're up against any deadlines there. I think that obviously just the pressing thing is the approval of the trailer at this point. So we have to amend our motion to declare that the intention of just getting that trailer.
We haven't made a motion yet.
No, I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. I'm clarifying if that's the,
What does it say?
It says approved, though.
If you approve the authorization of the superintendent to do this, then when we come back, we've got one.
Okay.
As a board.
So we can leave it as is.
Your employee to have the opportunity to go do that.
I just wanted clarification, make sure we don't need to
I
change
want to do
language.
that, but like what dollar amount are we setting?
Well, we'll bring that back. We're not gonna do anything without talking to you and letting you know what we're doing, okay? But you're giving me permission to go do.
Expediency wise, I don't want y'all to wait a month to come back
But
and talk to us
we're not gonna
again,
wait a month.
because we need to go.
Yeah.
If we have to have a special meeting, I don't care.
Yeah.
We'll come back.
If we have to.
Or we can approve an amount tonight so that we can get busy.
Are we saying 150?
It shouldn't
So
exceed
you're
that.
looking at high end, if the top notch of it probably tops 160, that would be like bells and whistles. Meeting with Mr. Burke and some other
I don't know,
members
Matt's
of
eyes
that.
got real big just then.
Right. I'm talking about trailer only, right?
Right.
Now, leasing, as far as what we do
Yeah.
on the other side,
We'll
with
work on that.
that's a different beast. But as far as the trailer piece, that's
Because there's customization, they've got to
absolutely,
fabricate
you can
and
put
build it
shelving
out.
and lighting,
Right.
and the top can be where,
I think
outside
160
daylight.
is fair, and if it was more than that, we just call it an emergency meeting and kind
Yeah.
of bring everybody back.
I'll make the
We may have to
motion.
discuss
Eyes
it.
are because you think that's a lot, or because you think it's going to end up being more? Your face is telling a story.
No,
Oh,
that's
that was
joy.
happy?
That's joy.
Okay, that looks
I'm
scared or something. Okay.
No, he's fine now that he knows he won't have to drive.
This has been a long journey for me.
And I do want to acknowledge that, we've got several members of the band boosters are here, and they have sat patiently for months about this, and they have been very, very diligent in their conversations and expressing the need. And I just, those are the type of parent involvement that gets things done. So kudos to them for sticking it out and allowing us to, I know it takes a while, but we want to make the right decision. So do we need to make a motion?
I make a motion that we approve an amount not to exceed $160,000 out of Bond Fund 649 for the purchase of a trailer for the use of the LaPorte High School Mighty Marching Bulldog Band.
And I'll second the motion. We have a motion by Ms. Thompson and seconded by Mr. Hanks. With that, any further discussion, board? Not, we'll call for the vote. It is unanimous. Thank you. Okay, we go to item 11A, approved purchase of a box truck for the Fine Arts Department.
Matt, you know you should just stay there.
Yeah.
Bring your happy face again.
My question on this one is, it seems like the price went up like $15,000, so that was A. And B, the description on it says it's used for band predominantly. So if we just kind of address the band issue, is there enough a need that we would need this for other fine arts programs?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of money.
Theater.
Orchestra and theater and
It's more utilitarian for everything.
theater.
How many do we currently have? Or do we lease them all?
We have 2, so this will give us 3. We leased that third one, so we would.
Well, like by having a trailer for band and freeing that up, does that free up one of the vans for them for other use? I guess what I'm
So I
saying.
think really after discussing it with the team, we need all of them.
Because we're currently leasing one.
We use it on bus, right?
And it's also, we also have a logistical issue sometimes. Let's just take for this week, for example, or last week, for example. We literally had junior high UIO choir on top of high school choir going at the same time. And there has been years where we've had junior high orchestra, high school orchestra, and junior high band literally going at the same time. Then on a Saturday, we could have dance with their equipment going where they're going, on the same day that our drum line is going where they're going, with our color guard going to a separate site. So we literally could have 3 or 4 activities, and then we have UIL one-act play, which we use the trucks to move the one-act set a lot of times. And that's just not for the performance, that's also for tech rehearsals. That's for anytime we have to move anything. So it's just not specifically for the band. It just gives us more utilitarian access when we need it, how we need it, and we're not really stuck. We don't limit ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we actually limit to say, well, we can't do that, we can't do this design this week because we're limited on our trucks because something's going on.
Are we renting them when we need them or something?
Yes. There's 2 we own, we lease the third.
Okay.
So obviously we wouldn't need to do
What's
that.
the lease cost on that for a weekend? Do you know? Sorry. And also, we are doing the fleet maintenance internally for the other 2?
Yes.
So that will just be absorbed in our fleet maintenance?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Melissa said we had this really nice box van that doesn't have a door on the back. Y'all can use that.
That's not. Okay.
Y'all know what I'm talking about too.
It's
Y'all know exactly what I'm talking
fancy. Great air conditioning.
Are these wrapped and decorated, so it says
They will
Fine
be,
Arts?
but they're not yet. They will. We had every intention to do this right before COVID hit with Copeland. And then COVID hit and just shut it down. And then every time we try to get it wrapped, we're using them. So we have to shut them down.
It's hard to find.
Sorry, Dustin.
It's that window.
No, you're good, no worries. We were expecting this, I should have had it prepared, I apologize. So the U-Haul rental truck for the fall of 2022 so far, partial year, we spent shy of $600. That was only a portion of football season and the marching season, as we only started renting mid-season. The driver cost was around $1,200.
And that's just for the fall.
So that's just fall only, so give or take 2,000 in the fall.
Or UIL in the spring, right?
Yeah.
Right. That's,
Yeah, I know that the availability of the trucks have been scarce. I mean, you have to go,
well,
they have
something to
to,
know, at minimal, this is a year out. If you look at the bottom right of that vote on there, and it goes out 720 months.
okay.
I see that.
So to that point, also, we were looking at that truck to kind of fill the gap until the trailer was ready. But if it's not ready for 7, it really won't serve that purpose, will it?
As far as, say it again, sorry.
I'm sorry. So if this box truck would not be ready for 7 months, delivery, is that what you're saying?
We're looking at a year now.
No, okay.
It says 360 to 720 days.
Okay, so a year before that box truck will be even ready.
But it won't take that long for the trailer.
No, the trailer, and I don't have that estimate, but it's quicker than that I know.
Okay. So what do we need to put down to ensure that purpose?
It would be like next week. I'm counting on you.
Right, there we go.
What do we need to put down to acquire this third truck if we went in that direction? We need to pay it in full?
Yeah, we pay it.
We paid in full right now?
Yeah.
Then take delivery? Okay.
What is the, is my assumption that this will be paid out of the bond fund, just like the last one was?
Correct.
If that's the case, like, so say approximately 150,000 plus the 160 for the trailer, plus potentially the 424 for the field, what does that do to our, how much is left? Because I know we just spent a lot of money on the softball field and the baseball field, like, well, what is left in that account?
Right, so let me, and the tough part is obviously advertising the new bond, because 2014 still has replacement cycles in it for our fleet. Right? We're really up for new buses here very soon. That it's going to be the last replacement out of 2014. So that money's been allocated. The trailer is new, but he's been very fiscal with his money, and obviously there's still funds in there to be able to support that as we work through that, as well as some of the maintenance side, as what you see in the other agenda item that you brought up. So again, you know, we're not living off that for another 9 years, but there's still money that's still being a part of the plan of what that 2014 bond has supposed to do.
Right. It's the last, the last draw. The last draw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Much like the new one will do over those years.
Okay.
If we don't, you know, and this is just my comment, board, but if we don't get it now, we'll be having another meeting 2 or 3 months from now,
Yeah.
saying we need a box truck, and now it's not a year later, it's a year and a half later. And the cost is going up. So,
And I think that's another great thing to look at it, and it's truthful, is the programs are growing, right? So you have more kids, you have,
they're doing phenomenal.
you have a need to be able to support those programmatic components, and that's a positive as a school district.
Absolutely.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, board, seek a motion for item A.
So moved.
Ms. Thompson,
Second.
seconded by Ms. Crutcher. Any further discussion? If not, call for the vote. It is unanimous. Thank you. We'll go to item 11C, approve purchase and installation of auxiliary field materials, drainage system, and AstroTurf for the practice field at LaPorte High School. Dr. Brown?
Taking residence.
Yeah, so this is obviously a part of the idea of being able to open up an additional space, obviously playing space, but also to support you know, that transition of renovation on the stadium and relocation of the students for those 18 to 24 months, and also assessing some of the drainage situations that we have at that auxiliary field currently, which is grass, and helping subside some of the flooding that happens there into G Street and behind the baseball complex. So it's serving really 2 purposes in which for us to move forward on that.
Does that drainage run parallel to the center field, right field fence?
That's right.
And it runs in that ditch that's between that and Stanton Center Park? So that's what we're trying to tie into?
Correct.
We improved that drainage. How many years ago was that, David?
Gosh.
We added to that.
Yeah, that's been
There
about
were some culverts put back there, some box culverts that were put back there.
6, 7 years.
But we weren't utilizing that space
We weren't, yeah, that's correct.
and the reason the turf is because of its use, where it has to use it a lot.
About 6, 7 years, I think.
So that becomes an additional playing space for underlevel sports. In this case, if Bond was to go forth for those 18 months, soccer home games would be there, varsity home games, all the underlevel, junior high component, and so forth.
So really, the only thing we would be authorizing the purchase of would be the turf surface. Everything else is allocated out of different funds.
Correct.
Yeah,
Those are those
gotcha.
turf funds that are for the infrastructure.
It's a great use of TERS
Agreed.
funds.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And another great facility for our district, too.
Yes.
Okay, board,
Absolutely.
any further questions? Okay, if not, I seek a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Shoppy made a motion,
Second,
seconded by Ms. Thompson. Any further discussion, board? If not, call for the vote. It is unanimous. We go to item D, approve weighted criteria and adopt resolution number 2023-08 for district-wide improvements. Is that-
So this is to go forth and with the blessing to go ahead and begin the delivery process and identifying the CAMR process for us, because there's such a time frame that has to go out. We have to post and advertise for 2 weeks, and there's a bidding process. The district is accustomed to this delivery method, but again, reason why we're asking now to go ahead and do so is so we can have whoever that individual company on board with us. So obviously if the bond passes, or if there's any renovation, obviously Proposition A has work in it, that they're already a part of us as we move into the summer. So, if construction needs to start immediately, that we have those people on board to be able to support our efforts. And really, this method provides what we call a GMP, that guaranteed maximum price. And it really takes all the risk off us as a district and puts it in the hands of that general contractor.
So that would lock in most of our, it start locking in prices, capped and out.
100%.
They will handle all that.
and how long is the CMAR process?
Typically about 45 days, give or take.
And on this now, would this be the final step to,
Yes.
if everything were to pass, we could
Exactly
take
right.
action immediately?
This,
They'll be on board.
This is the trigger
It will be
point.
full go.
Okay.
So we'll be ready.
Any further questions, board?
Y'all bid that, or y'all have like a
We do an RFP.
person? Okay.
And it's through qualification, because we already know what work we're
Gotcha.
going to do through those
And
projects,
there's
so it's
some
not an
really good
RFP.
folks out there.
And if the bond were not to pass, and we've already contracted with this company, we would be out of the money. What do we have to put up to lock them
Well,
in?
we'll come back to you once we know who those individuals are. We'll show
Okay.
you those percentages and what they may look like.
Okay.
But obviously, I think it's, very clear that some work is going to take place somewhere. So they will still help us with whatever that work may be.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board, if there's no further questions, seek a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Martin made a motion, seconded by Mr. Shoppy. Any further discussion, board? Nope. Okay, if not, call for the vote. It is,
Oh, sorry.
it is unanimous. Okay. Item 12, action on closed session items. We do not have any tonight, so we'll go to item 13, closing comments of the board trustees and superintendent. A, attendance at recent district and community events. B, announcement of upcoming district and community events. C, outstanding performance by district staff and students. Board, any further comments?
I know it's late, but I got a couple. I want to say thank you to Dr. Jackson, the admin, and all the people that made it possible for the Hoops Classic. That was a phenomenal community event. So we appreciate you guys allowing us to do that, and thank you to Charlotte Penny. I'm sure she's still here. Also, thank you to Principal Lozano for the invite to the Jungle Book at Rizzuto Elementary. That was they did a phenomenal job, and I really appreciate the opportunity to go to visit that. College Park, I want to say thank you to the students that came out tonight. They did an amazing job as well. And last, but two more quick ones. Thank you to Dr. Jackson, our district, and the people that are behind bringing Youth for Christ to our district. They've done a phenomenal job at DeWalt. I think it's averaging maybe 30 students in a short period of time. They've now brought it to the high school. We had 125 kids, I was told, last week at the high school. And so that's just a really big deal. I want a special thank you to Shane Klinkerman, a pastor at LaPorte First Assembly. They do a lot of things. They're tied to YFC, but also they are supporting more than 40 backpacks every week, sending home to students that don't necessarily have nutrition for the weekend. And so there's just a lot of amazing people that pour back into this district every single day. And I think all those are making a difference.
I second everything Jeff said, and again, I just want to acknowledge the participants that show up, every month and speak at these events and attend the events. And one of the things that's pretty alarming is just the apathy, the lack of involvement on so many issues. And for the people that take the time to express their views and their beliefs and stuff, that's how you make informed decisions, and it's it's part of the process, so it doesn't go unnoticed or unappreciated. We appreciate your time and your diligence to come up and participate in the process. Okay, Ms. Thompson?
No.
Okay.
I got something.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, just FYI, I will be calling Ryan tomorrow, Jeff, okay? But just a personal note, there's a lot of smart kids we honor today, and that's a tribute to all the teachers. Mr. Lacone and his decathletes, that's impressive. I mean, just being up there with the smart people just made me feel smart.
For the first time.
But just on a personal note, thank you for the honor for Ryan. Appreciate that. He will be running Friday night in Albuquerque at 7:30 this time, the DMR, and Saturday night at 7 o'clock in the 3000. Just a little prayer around that time, because this is a big deal. Big deal for him, but thank y'all for honoring him, and I appreciate that.
Ditto on everything's been said. I also want to congratulate Dr. Kate Griffin and Linda Hyde for Principals of the Year. I'm sure we're on future meetings doing so. And thank y'all for everyone's service to our kids. I know it's kind of getting wound down, but it's spring break, so enjoy a very restful and peaceful and spring break, and get rejuvenated for to finish strong for the school year. And thank y'all everyone for coming out tonight. And with that, we'll adjourn.